else going on 4chan? Snyder Cut motherfuckers want to get on a line now? Anybody?
I've had a lot of people tell me that if I call someone a chud, that's no different. That's just a slur. Like, they may as well call me like a slur or whatever. And it's like, well, that's really stupid. And it sounds like you're really looking for an excuse to say slurs.
You guys are doing your thing. I don't, you're doing your anti-chud thing.
But it's also not the same thing. And I can explain that. Things are different than other things.
Mm-hmm.
Because the things that I and generally on people on the left don't like and is harmful is whenever people are disparaged for characteristics that is innate to intrinsic to them, their existence, right? So like I have blue eyes, so if somebody starts saying, oh, you blue-eyed freak or something like that, I mean, it'd be kind of silly because look at these, they're freaking, you can't see them. I have another glasses here that I got new ones, and the other ones don't reflect, but I don't like them as much as these. I'll try them on in a minute. Hold on. Anyway, so they start calling me names based on my eyes or my pasty skin. I've got really pasty skin. I've got red, in my beard and in my hair and stuff like that. I've had people legit in my comments try and be like, oh, you're a ginger. And like I'm going to go, oh no, you called me a ginger. I mean, that's pretty stupid, but like gingers aren't really, yes, they are, I guess, a minority in the most technical sense, but also they're not, there's not any laws on the books against gingers. There hasn't been, as far as I know, not in the US anyway. I mean, you might get some individuals that are just like, I don't like gingers or whatever, but like, fuck those people. So that's not a real thing, being bigoted against gingers. Where was I going? So, okay. So when I call someone a chud, I mean, well, let's start with what a chud is. Chud. C-H-U-D. It's originally the title of a cult horror movie, Chud, C-H-U-D, from 1984, and it was an acronym that stands for Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dwellers. Okay? And was like, well, what the fuck does that have to do with the people that we usually call chuds? Not much, but, it's kind of funny. That's the point. It is a nonsensical term, generally, that everybody knows what it means now. It's been used enough that generally you know what someone means whenever they're calling somebody a chud, but it also isn't something that someone is just born that way. It's like when I told John De La Rose, that fucking piece of shit Nazi, that he said the initiative was doing hater speech about them or whatever. And it's like, no, we're not. You can stop being the way that you're being anytime you want to. The way you're being, as people are constantly trying to tell you, is really shitty and antisocial and racist and bigoted and stuff. You could stop being that way, but you don't. So you're choosing to be a chud. So I guess that's a good way to think of it. You choose to be a chud. Choose to be a chud. You can choose not to be a chud. Might take some work. It might take some time to work through some biases that you hold and whatnot. But so let's get back to the actual original definitions of how chud's been used. So there's the movie. I've never seen it. Maybe we should watch it sometime. I don't know. Then there's a gross or physically unappealing person. And I guess that is sometimes in some people's minds what they're saying whenever they talk about right-wing chud. I don't ever think of a physical, visual thing for it. To me, it's just 100% in line with like a set of attitudes. So the only thing that I remember that I have seen that there's this very clear example of somebody being called a chud that has nothing to do with how we think of it generally is Clerks 2.
How the fuck do you always have like two good-looking girls who want you? You're the most hideous fucking chud I've ever met, and you always have a pair of girls fighting over you.
Randall keeps on calling Dante a hideous chud, and it's pretty funny. But that's just Randall being a dick. So then the third definition would be a person on the political right who holds socio-political views that are regressive or bigoted. So I do have an example here that I can show of someone being a chud. Honestly, there might not be a better example.
The thing about comic books and fantasy is that you know, it's for men.
So that's pretty stupid. It's for men. Like, what the fuck does that mean, dude? For one thing, originally it was for children. So, you know, now it's for men. Whoever decided that, I guess Ethan did. But Ethan he's almost like King Chud.
I am definitely king of the chuds.
Yeah, Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein. Like, it's just, there's so many examples. There's so much. We would not have Star Trek today if it were not for women. Like, period. You know, the Star Trek fandom that got Star Trek back on TV, that popularized it even having a fandom and going to conventions and stuff after the original series had been canceled, was women. It's just objectively true. I mean, yeah, if we're talking about, you know, just pure size, sure. Well, sorry, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Contain yourself, Dane. You don't need to go for the low-hanging fruit. You don't have to, okay? And there's not much hangs lower than Ethan's. God damn it. God damn it. If we're talking about size of platform, yeah. He's pretty big chud drinker. When I think of a chud, the size of the chud in my mind is the density of this chud star, black hole rather, would be how chuddy are they? Like, Drinker can be pretty chuddy. He can say some pretty chuddy shit. But like, everything Ethan says and does and is all about being maximum chuddy. Right? Producer. Chud appears to have been coined by famous podcast Chapo Trap House as a linguistic opposite to another internet slang term, Chad. So a right-wing traditional alpha male is a Chad, according to like incel rhetoric, right? Chud, it was the opposite. And I can see that. I mean, I can see it easily being the etymology of it. So there you go. Chad and Chud. You know, and once again, these are states of mind. These are practices. These are collection of beliefs and views and statements and values. These are not ways that you were born or intrinsic to who you are. You can choose to be a Chad or you can choose to be a Chud. I mean, that's not even accurate though, Julie. Like, they're not all overweight. They're not all balding. They're not like, you're just, let's try not to like just make up tropes. I mean, I know that is the tropes. You're not making them up, but let's try not to squeeze everybody into tropes when it's obvious that they don't fit. I mean, yes, there could be chuds on the left, sure. There are chuds on the left for sure. I don't tend to use it that way because to me, a chud typically checks a lot of boxes in my mind. So a chud is going to be racist to some degree. A chud is going to be sexist to some degree. A chud is going to be, and not only that, but like sometimes, and a lot of times arrogantly, like proudly so, defiant those things, right? Like, not only like, oh no, I'm not racist. They're like, yeah, oh, you get triggered when I say the N-word? Like, that's a chud.
What you need is a second in command who understands the intricacies of organized villainy. This I can offer you.
Perfect! You're hired, number...
Number Killinger. Dr. Henry Killinger. And this is my magic murder bag. No, you are the magic man. Wow! I suggest you put that into a high-yield mutual fund. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have much work to do.
And this floor totally lights up.
If you don't mind me saying, you seem to be a tad overstaffed in your control room. You could resign.
Say no more! You're right again, number 2.
The venture problem is very volatile. We must approach it with caution. But first we need to address our domestic issues. The floating cocoon is in bad need
The cocoon's fine.
Again. Und Baranandarbeit. Excellent. And what else can you do? Now, with the addition of our newest recruits, Radical Left and Henchman Zero.
Zero. It's just 0. I hench for no man.
Yeah, with Radical Left and Zero. The Revenge Society is finally ready to make its debut on the world stage.
This is my magic murder bag. Well, gentlemen, we have a deal on the table. What do you say? Any takers?
Huge baby-bearing hips, and he starts changing everything.
That's not fair. I never chose my build.
I founded this Revenge Society.
Yeah, mit der Schuh und der Toaster.
I have not come to usurp your authority, Hellion. Mine is only to guide you to your truest selves. But you must have faith.
Somebody's coming.
Run.
Oh, so
Forgive me here, but your methods of discipline may be too draconian. Give me a moment alone with Mr. Henchman number 24. I know I can change his mind. Wait, I almost forgot. My magic murder bag.
The presence of...
Your powers are useless on me, you silly Billy. You have until noon tomorrow to vacate the premises. Good day.
Yeah, I have just the thing to snap him out of it.
Gentlemen, I apologize. With the Monarch's on-time arrival, I did not get a chance to clean.
What is this place?
It's your new home. Welcome to Meteor Major.
Kid.
Yeah, very interesting walk down memory lane there. But even more interesting is the view. The perfect vantage point to launch a daring heist of the Gargantua 2.
Have you even talked to him? He's great. He's like Mr. Belvedere.
He knows nothing about honor or living by the sword. He is not like us.
What are you talking about?
Seriously, that Kellinger guy has brainwashed the whole cocoon.
Man, will you just talk to him already? He's amazing. He cured my herpes. I bet he could even help you with your problem.
You want me to what?
Now that we have repaired your business structure, we must get to work on repairing your soul.
I'm not following you.
You will never be able to reach your full potential until you first confront your deep-seated fear of success. Now get into the bag.
What's in it?
Only what you take with you.
Fairs.
Nine, it is you who have forgotten your place. We were never meant to rule over these mortals.
They are but fools.
This is true.
And you shall perish with them.
There it begins.
Any of you incel, QAnon, 4chan, Snyder Cut motherfuckers want to get on the line now? Anybody?
Hey, where are all my comic books?
I have nothing left except Spider-Man.
So we got ourselves an X-Men fan.
You want to see what Spider-Man #1 looks like?
I believe comics are our last link to an ancient way of passing on history.
The thing, is this dork made of orange rock like the rest of his body?
Here's the thing. I'm looking for a Batman #14.
That's a very serious book.
I believe comics are a form of history that someone, somewhere felt or experienced.
How do I know that it's not a cheap reprint?
Better not be jacking off to the Japanese comics, I swear to God.
It's a superhero secret.
It's impossible. Lois could never have Superman's baby.
You can't pick a Superman number 77 with the 200s.
I guarantee he blows a load like a shot right through the back.
They haven't even discovered what kryptonite yet.
His Kryptonian biological makeup is enhanced by Earth's yellow sun. If Lois gets a tan, the kid can kick right through her stomach.
Then, of course, those experiences and that history got chewed up in the commercial machine, got jazzed up, made titillating cartoon for the sale rack.
You know they're all bullshit, right?
Trust me, true believer.
Come get some. Hello, and welcome. 25 of you. That's pretty good so far. Hello and welcome. I just said that. Now I said it twice. You want me to go for 3? I'm not doing it. All right. It is it's Friday. You know how we do. We get this shit off the screen here. Yeah. So we're gonna be taking a look at some stuff that happened in the comics here. Oh my God, what have they done to Chris Claremont's legacy, guys? Holy shit. Well, they completed it. They purified it, so to speak. They made it better. They fucking fixed it, is what they did. Go ahead and get that out of the way. I don't want to try and pretend. Yeah. So if you're wondering what the stream is, the title, the thumbnail is about, there was a comic book that was released called X-Men Blue. Is a one shot as far as I know. And some things happened in it that really was a long time coming. And it really ties into, now that I'm talking about it, way more into the Fapcast than I maybe had considered. So, with that in mind, Morgan, hey.
Hello and welcome to the Fapcast.
Is this a Fapcast? I'm so confused.
It's like a crossover. We're having a crossover.
All right, so I wasn't planning on having my camera on, but I turned it on, and I think I'm really washed out, aren't I? I'm really white.
You're very bright.
It's a thing that happens whenever you have you use another program that uses camera and then use this in the wrong order, basically. So I might try and duck out of here for a minute and then see if I can restart and come back. If you're okay with that.
I can keep an eye on chat. How's it going?
Hey. Yeah, we'll say hi real quick and then I'll do that. Thoughts on Kurt being with Silver Sable? That is actually the least exciting thing
it's a thing that happened. We'll get into, I think, Uncanny Spider-Man a little bit.
Yeah. Good day, Morgan.
Good day, Hayes.
And I believe he's actually Aussie, so that's a authentic good day you got there.
It's a real. Well, I appreciate that.
I didn't even get that. I got a yo. What's up with that?
Yo.
Nah, yo, welcome. And I apologize if anybody didn't realize that was not live there at the beginning. I just, that's a video that's going to be live tomorrow, or premiering tomorrow, I should say that. And I figured I'd give you guys a little, peek at it early while we're waiting to stream.
Hey, PR, how's it going?
Man, I took a screenshot, PR, of Deadpool's big damn rescue moment in X-Force. I was like, oh shit. I know you were fucking loving that. Hopefully you've read it. I didn't just spoil it, but yeah, you've read it. I know.
I am behind on X-Force, so I thought he wasn't even on the team anymore.
He wasn't. he was
just surprised Deadpool. I like how throughout the fall of X stories that Deadpool has just shown up outside of Uncanny Avengers, where it's just oh, we're an Iron Man. Who's picking up this stuff from Tony? Oh, it's a trucker. Wait, that's just Deadpool and a mustache. Literally, they just put a mustache on Deadpool's mask, and that's the trucker.
Yeah, so
I love it.
The last time they showed him was maybe 2 issues ago, and Sage had called him to be like, "Hey, we need your help." And he was he was relaxing by the pool, and just kind of, letting it all hang out and drinking. And he was like, "No, I'm good." He's not gonna. No, he said no. And I was like, damn, Wade, come on, man. And then of course he had talked about how he's working with Cap now and stuff. He kind of acted like he was too good for X-Force now.
He's not too good for X-Force.
Nah, he showed up at the exact right moment in this issue, and it was like, oh god, it's stupid enough to be just Deadpool,
right.
Perfect Deadpool tone, but also it worked. it worked. Anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna leave you to, if you want to say hi, or you could go ahead and jump into talking about the comic. I will be right back after I restart.
So I guess yeah, you can go ahead and drop. I'll pick it up from here and just spoiler warning for X-Men Blue. If you haven't checked it out, I would highly recommend it. It's very good. It goes into two of our favorite Blue Mutants, Nightcrawler and Mystique. I wonder if I can show you some pages. You know what? We'll screw with that later. I always feel weird, or I don't think I can do it without Dane making it happen. I don't have full control. I'm just a guest. So yeah, the comic covers their origins and their past relationships in a way that restores balance to the Force. If you know the history of those two characters and writer Chris Claremont, who wrote basically all the X-Men back in the day, like just one of the most prolific X-Men writers ever. He had an idea for what their relationship should be. And then because of the Comics Code Authority, check out the Fapcast on that if you haven't. That wasn't allowed to happen. And Nightcrawler's origin was eventually assigned. I don't know how else to put it. Like it's not very good. But now they have fixed it to Claremont's original vision, and in the process creating a whole slew of people out of nowhere who really like Azazel now. A comic book character I am sure 100% of them hadn't heard of till they looked up Nightcrawler on Wikipedia yesterday. Maybe Wednesday. I should be nice. They looked him up on Wednesday. I don't even think they know he's in Dark X-Men. Talking to some of them, they're just like, this Azazel guy, how could they take this away from him? And how could they retcon all this? And like, do you know he's in a book right now? It's an okay book. Dark X-Men isn't a bad book. But yeah, they were all very upset that their boy got cheated out of being a sperm donor. Like, he's a deadbeat dad anyways. That's his whole thing. So like, it's a weird just culture war. Grifters gonna culture war, I guess. But the story itself is very good, and I am buying time. What comics have you read, chat, lately? I'm sure everyone left now that Dane is gone. Everyone's like, fuck this Morgan. Who is this weirdo? Yes, Nightcrawler. Yeah, yeah. Nightcrawler is now Mystique's son, and all is right with the world. Yep. So originally, that was Claremont's idea. Heck, I think as far back ago as this, like the 70s. What's good? What's good is comics. Comics are very good right now. X-Men is fucking killer. I'm behind on a few of them, but like X-Men Red is amazing. That's the only one in the cartoon. Which cartoon? Joseph, I don't know. There's a lot of X-Men cartoons, and I have seen some of them. I've seen some of the one from the 90s. I've seen some of... I think I've watched all of Wolverine and the X-Men, and then I don't think I've seen any X-Men Evolution, and I know there's people in chat who are like, take their nerd card.
So it didn't work.
Oh no.
I don't know why. I really don't. I should probably spend like some time actually looking into it instead of just whenever right at the last minute. But
that's fair.
Sometimes it just like, oh, now the camera's not even coming on.
Now you've been absorbed by the void. Dana's fallen into a black hole.
Crazy. Yep. Okay, whatever. Anyway. Fucking A. Off to a great start.
Well, now, yeah, Mystique was always, or rather, Nightcrawler was always Mystique's son.
Yes.
But Azazel was proposed to be the father, and no, Mystique is the father.
Yes.
and Destiny is the mother.
Why are Chuds mad about this? That's that's the $1 million question. But I mean, it's kind of an obvious one. I think
It's a
when you think
tale as
about
old as time.
because it's essentially you've got a female who is the father, and kind of thing, and it's like there's I guess suggestive themes of some kind of I don't know I haven't really thought about what I would say about that, so I'm not going to talk about it.
I think like a lot of it is just reacting without reading the comic, right? Like,
true.
Well, how do they explain this? Because she's never been able to do that before. And like, let me see if I can pull it up. Where is there is like one of those cool Krakoa era side panels that are someone else's notes. Can I just zoom in on that?
Well, so I can show a post that I had found related to it a bit.
Sure. Let's see what I can do here.
I don't know who this fucking chud is, this Sierra whiskey fucker, but like I see him with some really stupid takes on comics very often.
Oh boy.
And so his take was what the actual fuck did they do to Nightcrawler? Marvel needs to end now. Like
they didn't do they've restored balance to the Force.
Right. And like I said, lots of chuds never read more than 7 comics, acting like they're experts just to be bigots.
I'm gonna be meaner than that. I think a lot of them have read like a Wikipedia page, maybe a Marvel wiki page. That's why like they saw these panels go viral because I think X-Men fans have been like, oh, this is the story that Claremont never got to tell.
Right.
Forever. I mean, I've known about that story for I feel like decades at this point.
Yeah, big time X-Men fans have definitely encountered this as being one of those things that like the comics code would just not allow to take place in canon. And he found his ways around a couple of different things in his long run.
His law, yeah, like prolific doesn't even begin to describe it.
But this was one of them that he found, was forced to do some stupid, and then there was retcons. I don't even know how many retcons were involved with this.
Well, I don't even think they codified it as like that Azazel was supposed to be the father until like the 2000s.
Yeah.
Like that, like a long time passed before they tried to give an answer. And then this finds a really good way around that answer that like Destiny saw some shit because that's her thing. She's precognitive and she goes, okay, well, we could put a stop to this and we could have a child together.
And because so they're just like, because they have like the emotional intelligence of a gecko, they can't possibly understand that this is actually a fucking beautiful character moment for several characters at once, and then it's like not only that, but like on the meta level, what we're talking about with Claremont and everything, it's cathartic in that way. It's just a good thing.
It's good all around. And one thing I like is that it like the thing I was worried about if they were going to tell this story in the modern age, especially as like in the Krakoa era, a lot of like former antagonist X characters or mutant characters have been, I don't want to say redeemed, but like brought into the crew. I was worried that if they were going to do this sort of story in this era, that they would try and like make Mystique and Destiny seem like better people. Where it flushes them out and flushes their relationship out, and like they clearly have a lot of love for each other, but they're still kind of awful people in all of this. Like they abandon they abandon Kurt. Destiny abandons Mystique. And like it really flushes out their whole relationship without making them seem like, oh, they were good guys the whole time. No. They were pretty terrible people who did a couple of good things while loving each other. And I think that really is just such a cool way to pull it all together and to put this story that we've known about forever. They also adopted Rogue. Yes, that is correct. And that the story even ends on that note where like Destiny calls Mystique up after they've been separated for a while and is like, hey, we've got like a few minutes before this girl gets kidnapped and she's going to be a gonzo powerful mutant. So we probably should go save her. Why don't you go do your thing? And that's how they adopt Rogue, who needed therapy, but she gets it. Rogue's in a pretty good place right now. I think it does the original story justice while weaving in all of the continuity snarls that have come up over the decades, and adding to all the characters involved rather than taking away. Yeah, I would agree, Jack, that the Krakoan era has completely turned me around on that. Like, Destiny is a character that I've never really had any care for. Mystique, kind of hit and miss. Like, I would say I like Mystique more than I dislike her. I think the recent X-Men, well, recent now, gods, they've been over for half a decade now. But like First Class through Dark Phoenix or whatever they called the last one. I never watched the last one. I stopped with Apocalypse. I'm like, this was bad. But like that Mystique I didn't really care for, and I felt the comics were going to go in that direction, and they haven't. But I feel like the last couple of years, especially like leading into Immortal X-Men and stuff, like they're awesome. I would agree that Joseph that I liked it more than when Hickman was around. I don't think that was ever going to last. I kind of think it's a good thing that we're doing this like Fall of X thing. I think that with a story like this, you risk overstaying your welcome, or running out of ideas, or kind of circling back on yourself. And I think even like, much as I enjoyed it, like the most recent Captain Britain series, kind of like serpentines back around to like the beginning of the Krakoa era Captain Britain, except now with the story being about Betsy and Rachel instead of Betsy and Jubilee and the rest of the gang. I feel like it sort of hits the same beats. So like I feel like it was a good idea to pull the trigger on wrapping it up and moving it on to the next thing. And I think it's going out on a high note. I think Children of the Vault was amazing. Just like 90s anti-heroes bullshit. Totally crazy. X-Men Red has been just fantastic from the start. I didn't pick that up until like towards the end of Sword, but that's been a ton of fun. I think the one I haven't really cared for has been just adjectiveless X-Men. It's just like, oh, they're just doing X-Men things. I think the Captain Krakoa stuff, back when it was Cyclops, was kind of funny, but hit or miss. Yeah, Jack, I agree that I hope that there's some aspects of this that continue on. If nothing else, just like Apocalypse and Storm and how their characters have grown has been amazing. I think some of the, even someone like Black Tom Cassidy, who I've always been like, fuck that guy. Like, he's a joke in Deadpool too, and rightly so. Like, I like him in this era. It's like, oh god, that guy's kind of cool now. What the hell? Like, I think they've done so much to flush so many characters out, that I really hope some of that carries forward. Which era of X-Men comics would I like them to adapt into the MCU? So if I wanted them to adapt an era of X-Men into the MCU, gods, that's really hard. Like my heart says the Krakoa era, just because it's been so good, but I don't think that's a good idea. I guess my hope, given that like how they've developed the MCU as a universe, unless they're going to do a Secret Wars style Crisis on Infinite Earths shakeup. I know that's DC, but it's just shake up your multiverse, shake up your continuity, and sort of soft reboot. If they're not going to do that, I would almost have them start fresh and be like, oh yeah, it turns out firing off the Infinity Gauntlet twice on Earth like caused some weird stuff, and now these people are mutating, and you would just go from day one, right? Like that's where mutants come from. You have a good way to explain it. It ties them into the cosmic stuff, and I think historically the cosmic X-Men stuff has always been some of the wilder X-Men stories that the movies have struggled to integrate. So if you could sort of start on that level, I think that might get around some of that. But if I had to pick yeah, that's rough. Hold on, I gotta. Oh, Dane is having some technical difficulties, so hopefully he'll be back soon. Schism wouldn't be bad. I guess you could go kind of weird and go like AVX and be like, this thing is coming for the moon. And then like they introduce the X-Men all at once as kind of villains. Isn't every era hit or miss? I mean, don't call me out like that. That's rude. You're not wrong. Oh, please keep Arakko. Yes, Jack, I agree. Arakko is so much fun. Who's that dude? I don't know. Who is that dude? I'm the mysterious stream jacker. I've killed Dane to talk about X-Men in his stead. Yeah, Arakko and just the Iraqi mutants are so freaking different, and their powers take being a mutant so many different directions. And that really plays on like this alien quality to the mutants. We don't really have a ton in Earth's X-Men or Earth's mutants. I don't know what we're gonna get. We haven't seen the end yet. So yeah, Joseph, I don't know. Marvel teased there was gonna be a preview at the end of November, and it is December. So that's a very good question. Yeah, I would agree that like setting up Krakoa is a lot for the MCU to do. I think you kind of have to dumb some of it down just from like a screen time standpoint. And unless you're, yeah, I don't think doing Krakoa out the gate is a good idea. I also think that a lot of what made the Krakoa era work is that we got to see all of these characters kind of recontextualized after decades of characterization and mischaracterization. I don't think that would work entirely well in the MCU. Gods, I don't know. Brand and Beast, there's two characters that are just like off in the woods, right? Like they're so freaking could you recontextualize Brand or salvage her? Gods, I'm sure you could, right? You could just say that Orbis Stellaris whammied her or something, or Vulcan did something, you know, like I'm sure there's a way you could put the pieces back together, but like yeah, not great. I don't know that I like that story. But what they did to her character is definitely a little weird. And killing Peter Grinch, or I can never pronounce it's a name you read 1,000 times but you never say it. So the guy who's like the concierge for the X-Men, for the Avengers, and he's just been in everything. That guy getting got, I'm just like, that guy's been around forever. Just kind of as a background guy though. Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with her, and I feel the same way about Beast. Like, Beast has gone off the rocker, like just absolutely pants on fire crazy, and we know he's not Dark Beast because Dark Beast's head is sitting on Sinister's lab bench. So I don't know. I don't know what to do with either of those characters. That PR that Krakoa has been confirmed won't be rebooted. So there's still like going to be a Krakoa that mutants live on. It's just going to be sort of in the background now and sort of this central hub, just sort of existing. That's a good way to handle it, I think. As for how Wolverine would work in the MCU, I mean, you could always go with back to his origins as just the guy they send to kill the Hulk, right? Like that he's a mutant was kind of secondary. He was just like, we're gonna send a dude to go bonk the Hulk because that will work. Here is this guy. So yeah, I am way behind in X-Force, Jack. I do not know. I would like the young X-Men to stay away for a while. And I liked the young X-Men. I enjoyed most of their stories. I would like them to be gone for a while. I like seeing them and Jean Grey was like, you know what? I don't miss you guys. Because like that whole era of X-Men was kind of wild. And I agree that would be sending him to go bonk the Hulk. I think that would be a great way to go about it. I think it is like we all know who Wolverine is. I think most people who are going to go see whatever movie he's in, it's Deadpool 3, but if there was another one, there is a Predator versus Wolverine. I have missed that, and now I am curious. A reboot with New Mutants. I don't know what I think about New Mutants. I haven't seen the movie. I've read the old comics from the 90s, some of them, and they were fine. Yes, Artie, we are talking X-Men right now. We are talking, we're talking X-Men Blue, but then Dane's rig mysteriously failed him, and so now he has been replaced by the mysterious Streamjacker, which is me. I am mysterious Streamjacker X. I am an X-Man. It's my mutant power to take over his stream. I heard the film was not very good. I heard it was supposed to tie into Deadpool 2 somehow, but I don't know what that's all about. Yeah, Tonio, if they're doing that, they've been there all along like they did with the Eternals. Oh, I hope not. Like without there being some sort of cosmic flim flam to like things are different now. We'll find out how. Ooh, is Sinister gonna be in Deadpool 3? Ooh, that's spicy. Sinister is just such a fucking crazy fucking villain. And like even when Sinister is like badly written, he's just so freaking weird. Like I like the current Sinister, who's a little more jokey. But like even when he's like this over serious Victorian science nerd, he's just a big weirdo. Yeah, I definitely hope that they're not going this. Oh, surprise! Here's the Xavier Academy. It's been in New York forever. No, stop! Please stop. I want to get off. I would like that to be new. I really want them to just sort of start from scratch. And Nathaniel Essex is a cool name. And also that he brainjacked Madeline Pryor to basically give Cable his name because Cable is Nathaniel Summers. And Nate Gray from Age of X-Men. Like, just like, I want my name on all my work. Like, his whole, like, I think it was in Immortal X-Men or in Sins of Sinister where they're talking to the original Nathaniel Essex, where Mystique and Destiny are. And he's like, oh, they're going to be my Essex men is what I'm calling these potential mutants. Oh, Dane is, yeah, that's less than ideal. That's not very rad at all. Nathaniel's a pretty cool name. I'm not gonna lie. I think I had an NPC in a TTRPG I ran named Nathaniel before. I am. If we're getting Sinister and Wolverine in the same Deadpool movie, that's gonna be pretty good. Like, I don't know how you fuck that up. Especially because both Deadpool movies are absolute bangers. We just watched Deadpool 2 again, and it's just like, I got the Juggernaut song stuck in my head for like an hour afterwards. I will have to check out this Predator versus Wolverine thing when I get a minute. I don't know which minute that will be. I'm a busy person. Yeah, there might be a good way to do They've Been There All Along, but I just, because even if you like go back to the like you go back to X-Men at its creation, right? Like, most of the mutants are young characters, and Xavier is, well, older, not unreasonably older. And I get that, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about them being around all along. We'll see what they do. The MCU is the MCU. He is bald, yes. Professor X is many things, and bald is one of them.
Can't get rid of me that easy.
Woo! Oh no, I've been found out. Mysterious Screen Checker X away.
Jesus fucking Christ, that was a whole nightmare.
Welcome back.
Hello. Hi, peoples. And
yeah,
camera.
Xavier's wiping minds in X-Men Blue Origins. It's just all about that mind wipe.
All right. So, excuse me.
There's no excuse for you.
Where are we at? Wow, we're 50 minutes into this thing.
Yeah, we were talking just generic Krakoa MCU stuff.
I mean, look, if anybody's going to take over my channel, I'm happy
to
have it
that's
be more.
Your Chanel. I don't have your Chanel.
I don't have. Yeah, I mean, who does? Who has my fucking Chanel? All right.
Sorry to call you out on the typo, Daniel, but that was too funny for me not to. I'm mean. I'm the mean one, I guess. That's fine.
You're a mean one. Okay, so one thing I wanted to say is, like I said, it's, all I really need to say is it's fucking beautiful. Cy Spurrier fucking continues to fucking, like, everything I've read from him is fucking excellent. Like, everything. And I need to read more of his stuff, really. But then also, did you read Immortal X-Men?
I have not. Did a new one come out this week?
I think it was this week, maybe. Yeah.
No, I am behind then, because the last one I read was, spoiler alert for Immortal X-Men, is like he confirms that like he's still got a Sinister in his brain.
Okay, that's the one that I'm talking about. That's one.
Yeah.
That was also excellent because holy shit, that whole thing with him and Mr. Sinister was just like, I don't know, something about it was just refreshing. Mr. Sinister just humbled, not humbled really, but like, kind of just
as
fucking
humbled as he can get.
Possibly be, yeah. He's like, yeah, he was just being transparent. We'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, he's very transparent.
And of course,
you see right through him.
The irony The irony is, of course, that the only thing that could humble Mr. Sinister to that effect is other Mr.
As a
Sinisters.
different Mr. Sinister.
So yeah. All right.
Yeah. If I have one, and maybe as to sort of wrap up on the X-Men Blue Origins thing. I know you've got other stuff you want to cover, and I could talk X-Men forever.
A little bit.
Someone mentioned Uncanny Spider-Man earlier and Kurt's relationship with Silver Sable. My problem with Uncanny Spider-Man up till now is that I have two issues to those issues.
Mhm.
One, there is too much going on for a 5-issue limited series. I just think the pacing is kind of a disaster.
Yeah, I can see that.
We don't get they start and they kind of are leading you to oh, okay, are we going to get a bit of Peter and Kurt interacting more, and not a ton. We're not really seeing the street level stuff because it's kind of just Kurt avoiding mercenaries and Orcus. And it just, the whole thing with Silver Sable, I still don't understand exactly how that happened. It's an interesting dynamic if it was set up before now that they were dating and then she was hired to get him.
I think she just kind of fell for him while kind of monitoring him at first. Like she was just and fell for him in the way that she, not it's her version of love, I guess, which is really just like a really cold, calculated lust, I suppose.
Oh, we're talking about Kurt Wagner. We're talking about Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Who is definitely not Spider-Man.
No.
He's
that was, by the way, that was kind of crazy in the newest issue, though, that the Sentinels fucking ping Spider-Man as a
Spider-Man, yeah. They'll frame you.
And it's like, whoa, man, that's off the rails now. I mean, the things are already off the rails, but if they're gonna actually start just going, you're a mutant, why not?
Well, that's like Days of Future Past shit, right? That's like, oh, you're gonna fight us. Oh, we'll just call you a mutant too, and everyone's gonna believe us because we're a robot built to tell you who the mutants are.
You know what it made me think of?
What's that?
It sparked the memory of in the 90s when Marvel tried to make everybody think of Spider-Man as the non-mutant.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about? Or the it was the non-mutant.
Right.
It was the non-mutant. It was literally on the covers of comics, it would be like the non-mutant or whatever. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Nobody wants to think of him that way.
Nobody. Spider-Man is Spider-Man.
Yeah. And Miles Morales is Spider-Man.
It's also Spider-Man.
Yes. Yeah, so we are less than an hour into this stream, and man, we just ran out of everything we wanted to talk about, right?
Yeah. Oh, the other thing I wanted to touch on is I forget which issue of Uncanny Spider-Man where Peter goes off on this Kurt goes off on this weird rant about how Peter doesn't know what it's like to have people after him, and I'm like, this is a weirdly placed rant that doesn't make any sense given Spider-Man.
Yeah.
What is this? What is going on this? So I don't know. It's the book's been fine, but
do you know what it is that they're really taking some steps with Kurt Wagner as a character, fleshing him out as more than just kind of the collection of, I mean, people that have read a lot of X-Men know he's more than a collection of tropes, but he has been kind of for a long time stagnant to a degree.
A little bit, yeah. And I think to the point where the most interesting thing they did with him for a while was when his AOA version was on the Uncanny X-Force. And everyone was expecting him to be the jokey, funny, nice guy, Kurt, and he's just going to fucking kill you. I have a sword, and I'm going to teleport it into your guts. Fuck around and find out, guy. And everyone was like, whoa, you are very different.
Yeah, he's like, you guys don't know what it was like over there, man.
Right. Especially because that whole arc where they go back there and things have just gotten so much fucking worse.
I don't know if I read that. They definitely the young X-Men went for, I don't know, they spent several years there technically, including Rockslide, Pixie, X-23 during the Age of X-Men thing right before the House of X.
This was before that. This was back on the Rick Remender Uncanny X-Force run, where they go there because they're trying to figure out how to cure Archangel.
Oh yeah, I did read that.
And then like Weapon X is controlled by has been taken over by the celestial technology that Apocalypse was using, and is basically just worse unkillable Apocalypse.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a great reality over there.
No, it's a bad place. I would not recommend visiting there.
Let's see. We got 37 people watching. Hi. Sorry that actually you're welcome that I wasn't here for a while, I suppose. Some of you but yeah, if you could we'd appreciate subscriptions to the channel around here. Whichever channel you're watching on, there's 3 different ones going right now. Got a little message bumper thing that I really could just play that instead of saying any of this. So hi. Fucking subscribe. I'm Turf Nation. You should subscribe to all of us. Me and Turf had some fun.
See that.
We were waiting for others to show up for this recording session yesterday, and we had green screen going, and we were like, let's just do some zany shit. Why not?
Good old green screen.
Turf did some really great stuff. And I'm taking a pause right here just to kind of, palate cleanser, I suppose. So that we can, because we're going to switch topics here in a second, guys.
Yeah, we are.
We do have another topic, and I'll be honest, this next topic is actually the topic that I've been wanting to do for quite a while. So
I think it sort of refreshed a few weeks ago when some stuff came out about a person we all just sort of wished had it gently faded from the spotlight.
So who else familiar with who's been around the channel since pretty much the beginning, or at least knows how I got started doing content on YouTube in the first place? Because we're about to go full.
Today we will tell you the story of the.
I didn't mean to even click that. That's not even the right thing. That's just a completely. God damn it. So we're gonna go full circle. We're gonna be talking about a situation, a young man.
Well, he was a young man at some point, I'm sure.
At one point, he was a young man, I think. Yeah.
Well, I guess he's young in the you have to grow old, but you don't have to grow up kind of way.
Yeah. Sure. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I
we'll
can see that.
Yeah.
See if you got any guesses here. Anybody? Nobody's guessing. Okay.
Any guesses as to our mystery topic is?
We're moving off of lore here. We're moving on into real IRL lore, so to speak.
The deepest lore.
The deepest. Hey, Daniel, first guesser. You got it, buddy.
Oh, you get the no prize.
That
will be in the mail.
Because
I don't know to where.
Because Kamala's doing mutant stuff. I don't know. For some reason, that kind of came off as ooh, why is she doing that? But maybe I've got some.
They've restored balance to the Force.
Yep. Yeah, that's actually another one. They seem to be kind of on a mission in some ways to fix some things. I guess
Disney bought Fox, and now that the X-Men are back in the house, right? They're just let's just fix shit. we got the chance to just get the broom, and that looked like a jerk off motion.
I'm
not used to being on camera, is what I'm going to say.
That's okay. You're doing fine. I'm going to play a clip for it's about 90 seconds or so while I do a couple of quick adjustments here, and we'll be right back. So,
see you on the dark side.
Please subscribe and whatnot. We love you. Check this out.
Where did that change? I mean, when did the anxiety start taking over?
When it actually matters, when you're I did.
Oh, wait.
Oops. I didn't know it was going to do that. I didn't know it was going to literally end the freaking clip. That's stupid.
That's very
StreamYard. Because we're doing this now.
Are we fapping?
We're fapping. Oh, it's a fap. It's a fap, baby.
Welcome to the Fapcast.
Welcome to the Fapcast. That's what we're doing. And it's also, kind of just tangentially.
Let's go. Got the whole crossover.
Yeah. So if you remember, if anybody's been paying attention, a couple of weeks ago, Ethan Van Sciver, I don't know if you guys heard of him. I've talked about him a couple of times.
Yeah, he's been mentioned before.
He
Yeah.
said a thing, and it sparked all these memories just like all at once kind of thing, where it's like I hadn't really thought about him in depth in a long time. I haven't covered him in depth really in a long time. Because he's lost a lot of relevance. You know, he probably started losing it around the time I started covering him. Those, I don't necessarily think those are related at all, but like it's just how it happened. Really, you know, I kind of just, I was supposed to do a documentary kind of thing about him at one point. And then that didn't happen because same reason I noticed, like, you know what, maybe that would be giving him more, you
Well,
know,
I
oxygen than he
think
needs.
that he had burned out his air, right? I think like even when we started the Fatcast, as much as this has been inspired by his like pro comics code stuff in some ways, we made light of him that like
Yes.
he was so this man out of time who had burned up his relevancy that like we felt comfortable making a joke out of him, and then it turns out he's despite not being as relevant still a tremendous piece of shit to this very day, and
the
like
relevance has
actively
not
doing
changed.
that.
Like,
Yeah.
keep in mind, this is a guy that went on Tim Pool's podcast, and then for a couple of weeks after tried to use hashtags of what he thought were clever things he said on the podcast and like strange women and all that, tried to, you know, kind of like recapture some of that that former glory that he had, and he couldn't even do it.
No.
Like, so like, you know, is this is really just kind of a refresher and almost maybe kind of, I don't know, be responsible, because I feel like maybe we were a little bit irresponsible by making light of him in the first place, by calling him our muse and like stuff like that.
I think that like we made light of him because we underappreciated that he's still out there trying to start shit and being just dumpster fire of a person, and so I think we
this
is to be responsible.
This is what he had said that sparked all this a couple weeks ago.
I don't want pedophiles to target our children. You know, I mean, I wouldn't mind if they target Mark Brooks's children. You know,
it's fine when it's done to my enemies.
Yeah.
And also, like, why do you have enemies as a comic book writer? I'm sorry. Like, you write stories, you draw stories that are ostensibly for kids.
Well, I mean,
not all comics are, right? But like at the end of the day, like you draw cartoons. You don't need enemies. You have no reason to have enemies.
So Mark Brooks is actually he's a still professional working in for Marvel. I think he's actually exclusive to Marvel now. Cover artist primarily. I don't think he does any interiors anymore, but that's because his covers are so fucking you know, intricate and like multi-layered and stuff that's really all he can do, and he gets paid
just let
very
that guy go off
handsomely.
on a cover.
So yeah, so Mark, he actually was kind enough to come onto my channel and talk with me at one point about Ethan, in fact. Which, you know, kind of started a whole timeline thing of like that, you know, I'm tangentially involved with that, where Mark had never really spoken about this stuff very much, and then he wanted to come on my channel and talk about it. He did, and then he kind of entered the fray and he started battling comic skaters and stuff, Eric July on Twitter, and then, you know, it kind of devolved from there, because that's the thing. Engaging with these people, comic skate, Rooperverse, whatever it is, their tactics are all the same, and they're, you know, their MO is all the same. It's not to engage with you to try to, you know, even, they're not even really trying to like beat you in a debate of ideas or anything. It's all about getting attention on themselves. They are literally just the, you know, they're the embodiment of troll mentality. They're Trump. You know what I mean?
It's not just attention seeking. It's that they do that by trying to tear people down, and by trying to create an environment that is hostile to whoever they deem as outsiders.
Yep. And we're going to look at a kind of a timeline here. in the meantime, or before we do that, though, I do need to take a pause and correct a couple of things here. So,
get it?
Yeah, we will be right back. Right back, like 2 minutes. Just gonna do the FAP intro real quick, and
Ooh, a FAP intro.
All right, we love you.
Any of you incel, QAnon, 4chan, Snyder Cut motherfuckers want to get on a line now? Anybody?
Won't somebody please think of the children?
The only way that you can really stop this kind of thing is to arouse public opinion. It's very upsetting. It has a bad moral effect.
Forced adversity.
Ask yourself, what's more terrifying, fear or the frightened?
The facts of history and the aggressive impulses of an evil empire.
Bad, B-A-D-D, bothered about Dungeons and Dragons.
Up yours, woke moralists.
Socialism has spread the shadow of human regimentation over most of the nations of the earth.
And they're pushing identity politics with this. They 100% are.
How do you think homosexuals reveal themselves?
And the shadow is encroaching upon our own liberty.
I think there ought to be a law against them. Tonight I'm going to show you why.
All right, so I don't think I don't think there ought to be a law against Comicsgate or anything.
No.
You know, there's a whole lot of bad faith argumentation that happens from these guys that I've seen a lot of it since I've been doing this. They think that I just don't like opinions that are different. They just think that I don't like independent comics, that I hate to see somebody successful, or it's just literally about his politics or something. It's like all this reductive fucking bullshit. And one of the reasons that sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I think what you're talking about, it's just like, that's just a diversionary tactic for anyone who's coming into the conversation halfway, but also like, what are his politics, right? Like, that's an easy cover. Oh, you're going after me for my politics. Well, like, politics are a lot of things. What is that? Let's just drill down on that, right? Like, which political opinion do you think you're coming after being attacked for?
Yeah.
What is that? We can judge those things independently. We don't need to be like, oh, all political opinions are beyond reproach. I don't think Ethan thinks that. And I think that we'll cover that he doesn't think that. So it's, it is interesting when they use it as a defense, because it's like this appeal to some sort of plurality that they don't believe in.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they don't believe in anything. It's all nihilism. Like, just whatever wins in the moment. Like if you ever watch Innuendo Studios, he's got an excellent series on the alt-right and how they debate, if you want to call it that, how they argue, how they trap you into conversations and whatnot, and manipulate. And it all applies just like 100% to the way these people operate.
Just that they call themselves Comic-Gate, right? Is they are a coattail hanger on of Gamergate.
Yeah, which Ethan admitted in a recent Kill stream appearance he did. So what I'm trying to do is change the title of the stream so that people know what we're actually talking about now. And it won't let me do it in StreamYard for some reason, so I have to go into YouTube.
Go into the belly of the beast.
So let's see. Okay, so one of the things that has been difficult as someone who literally started his channel to like, I want to fucking say some shit about Ethan Van Sciver, because I was watching it all play out and it pissed me off, over and over and over again. It's like, I could see how he would manipulate people. I could see what he was lying about in some cases, and it just made me mad. Is trying to prove to people that he is behind these harassment campaigns, that he was for sure in the past. I haven't done a whole lot of recent digging to see if he still does that. I don't think he does, to be honest. I think that he generally has insulated himself pretty well, and that he's actually, even from what I can tell, chilled out on his rhetoric for the most part compared to what we're going to look at. Because holy shit, I was
Except
refreshing.
for when he's not like largely, I think he's kind of like pulled back.
Yeah, well, here's him describing himself to Tim Pool when he was on Tim Pool's podcast.
I am a comic book artist. I work for Marvel and DC. I've drawn Green Lantern and Flash mostly, some X-Men stuff in my time. I was viciously canceled for voting for Trump in 2017. Everybody kind of knew that I was a Republican. But when I voted for Trump and Trump won and then I celebrated, that was a bridge too far. I was viciously canceled for voting for Trump.
You sure about that? You sure about that? That's why?
Understand.
He was not viciously canceled for voting for Trump. He was his contract was not renewed. I guess you could say that was being fired.
Sure.
You know, if you feel he was entitled to have his contract renewed for some reason. Because he had, as we're going to look at, repeatedly done, public shit that just anybody.
This is the thing about the entertainment industry that I think that gets lost a lot when you're talking, especially when people like EVS, or any conservative media figure who is like, I was fired from this liberal Hollywood, however you want to frame it, institution. Those bodies are inherently conservative. Like the creators, the artists, they might be some flavor of progressive or liberal, but the people who run the show, it's just like every other corporation in America where it's some MBA who is just like about extracting as much profit from these people as possible. And so when they get fired, it's not because of their politics. It's usually because they're bad for something they did was bad for business.
I mean, it's the example I always give in any kind of cancellation example is that, these are typically things that anybody in if you represent a company and let's say I work at Taco Bell and I'm wearing my Taco Bell uniform and I'm just going around kicking puppies all day long in my Taco Bell, look, man, Taco Bell's probably gonna have something shit to say about it. They're probably not gonna want you to work for me anymore.
Yeah.
And of course it's not the exact same thing, but when his Taco Bell uniform, so to speak, was his name as an artist attached to DC Comics, right? Like he's the Green Lantern guy. So whenever his name is seen, telling people who already have mental health issues to kill themselves over political arguments, literally posting memes of someone hanging themselves and while he's eating popcorn or whatever, yeah, we'll look at that. It's a whole litany of shit that he did, and it's like he knows that like the whole point is to push the fucking envelope and push the line to where he gets fucking reprimanded, and then he can play victim. It is the most cowardly, fucking dishonest, lazy, cynical bullshit. And that's what fundamentally why I don't like it. Other than just the harm that it contributes to fan discourse. It's like he's just shitting in comic book fandom pool all day long.
Well, it's not like his opinions are even, or the opinions he espouses are typically about a comic story he doesn't like. When he's gone after creators or artists, it's not because like, hey, I thought your story sucked.
Mm-hmm.
It's hey, kill yourself because I don't like some trait about you.
Yep, pretty much. That's
not cool. Like if creators want to fight about like who's the better, Green Lantern artist, that's fine. Have that discussion. Have that out publicly. I don't really care.
Well, I don't know if we'll have time, but one thing I was doing the other day was looking back at some. So full disclosure, I've said plenty of times, I was a big fan of Ethan's. That's how I was following him in the first place. I haven't. For anybody that doesn't know, I have the freaking Blue Lantern tattoo there. It needs to be filled in, but like I fell in love with that whole era of Jeff Johns Green Lantern stuff.
That era of Green Lantern is so good, and like I have some of his books, like some of the books he's drawn, like in the bookshelf by my bed. I've got the big Black and White omnibus right there. And it was disappointing to find out that like he is just nonstop not a nice person,
right?
Independent of his politics, just like not a nice guy.
Look, there are people that I suppose share more like my politics, our politics. That if they said and behaved a certain way, it's being an antisocial fucking asshole is not exclusive to the right wing.
No.
However,
No.
they do seem to cover it a lot of ground. It's almost like that is a lot of them. It's much more accepted on the right than it is on the left. In fact,
I would say, yeah, it is more of a no one is going to scold him from his own camp for that behavior.
Yeah.
In the same way, we're like, I'm going to use you as an example, Dane, because you're right here and I can do it. When you've used the R slur, and I've been like, fucking Dane, fucking stop it. That is the weapon of the enemy. We do not use it.
And I hold myself accountable, and I fucking
You've gotten better.
Examine why it is that I feel that it's okay, like in certain moments for that just to fly out, and I did some introspection, like why is it that, I can tell you what I came to, by the way, and this is the kind of shit that I think that these types, this is why I call them cowards, because they're so afraid to look inward to figure out why am I this way. What I came to is that, I'm on the spectrum, and that caused, I guess, my older brother, when we were young kids, something kind of thing would come up where it would, autism moment, basically, for some reason or another. And my brother wouldn't, we didn't even know that was something that was a possibility with me or any of us. And my brother called me the R slur a few times, and it fucking hurt. It sucked. And it made me feel like, dumb piece of shit, like there was something wrong. So like, that's why at some point, somewhere deep in the recesses of my fucking subconscious, I attached that word to, if I want to make somebody feel like small and insignificant and like what they're saying or doing, like that word is going to fly out.
Right.
And since I figured that out about myself, I said it. It's amazing.
Introspection is very important.
So nonetheless, one of the problems that I've had over the years here is trying to prove and like show, like, look, man, he literally, because there's reasonable doubt is how these guys operate, right?
That's their whole methodology, right? Is this like
we see them do the harassment campaigns, we see them play out, we see the review bombings, whatever it is, and it's like you can't prove definitively that they were directed to do this or whatever, but in some cases though you can, and I'm very what?
Who is as
heel versus babyface? That's no.
I mean,
Critical Ox, are you fucking around here, man? That's not.
Let's
get
on the electric Twitter.
You derailing us over rumors that aren't going to be true? It better be true, damn it. He better have died. Oh, no. I don't know that I'd want that. No, I wouldn't want that. Like, a fan of Menace guy died not too long ago. I remember. I forget what his name was. Yeah, let's not hope that he died, man. Like, he's a piece of shit and he's an idiot, but like, I don't know. Somebody probably cares about him. You know what I mean? It's weird to imagine, but somebody probably does.
There's some kind of meme about him dying, but I don't know how true that is.
Well, it's the only reason that even kind of like rings like a possibility is because it does seem like he's been having some. Unless he's just going 150 miles an hour on the grift right now, which is possible.
I don't know.
He's done a couple of posts where it's just like, really, man, like that's a little bit overboard. His reaction to things.
I cannot confirm or verify that this is true or not. It seems like it's a meme.
Okay, it's probably a meme. Ox should be more critical. Ox. Haha. All right, so here are a couple.
To be fair, he did say, "I heard X," and then asked if it's true.
That's true. That's true.
So I will give the critical Ox the benefit of criticism.
I was trying to do a joke. Come on.
I'm sorry.
Give me a little. No, it's fine. So here's
just being critical.
Let's get to this.
Okay.
So, for anybody not aware, War Campaign is still around, but they're not what they were. They're not related in the way that they were to Ethan. They're actually kind of the opposite. War Campaign is, from what I understand, Ethan actually kind of started War Campaign, which was a brand it's basically the military, if you want to look at it that way, of Comicsgate.
Yeah.
Where they would do the attacking, they would do the harassing and coordinating and stuff like that. And it was that was what allowed him the layer of
insulation.
Not insulation from it, where it's like, I mean, I think he's got some layers of insulation on his own. But God damn it. Fuck.
Damn.
I'm sorry. I can't fucking help it. It's like when the opportunities pop up, I just can't. Okay. So anyway, yeah, they would do all the work for him basically. And then apparently at some point things went sour between him and them or something. I'm not sure what. Look, one of the reasons that comic skaters have always gotten mad at me is because I don't know all the details of the lore, and that's on purpose. Because I have seen other YouTubers that do know all the details of the lore, and that gets so, like, they're so lost in the sauce. Not to say anything negative about them, because there's some good people doing good work generally, but like, I don't want to cover all the fucking social dynamics of each person involved and what do they say and how did this, because it's just really easy to lose any kind of objectivity when you do that. I try to take a bird's eye view of things, and they don't like that about me. Because to them, I'm not considering all this relevant context that you need to have in mind to analyze things. Yeah. So at some point they fucking split, and now War Campaign is its own thing, separate from Comicsgate. They actually talk a lot of shit on Comicsgate and Ethan. I don't even understand how that happened the way that it did, but you know, if you ever see anybody claiming War Campaign, their War Campaign or whatever, they're like slightly less fucking shitty Comicsgate, basically. They're generally smarter too. Like they're basically, that's what it is. They're the less antisocial, the less fucking kind of maybe potentially psychotic. They're the less stupid people from Comicsgate that said, you know what, we're not quite that antisocial and stupid. Let's pull out of this a little bit.
Well,
so
that's if I was working for Ethan for free, I feel like I might want to just like distance myself from that too. Just from a like, where's the hot potato gonna fall?
Because if we learned anything from what happened with Eric July recently, it's that eventually Ethan is not your friend. Even if he is right now, eventually he won't be. You are literally nobody to Ethan.
Ethan turned on him on a dime when that guy made a bunch of money.
If you aren't beneficial to Ethan, or he feels that he could, by stabbing you in the back, you would be beneficial, that's what's going to happen, man. Like, it's that I do know has played out several times. You have to basically swear fealty to him, it seems like Richard Meyer, who was literally kind of like the figurehead of Comicsgate, and then Ethan kind of nudged his way in there, and then
that was the end of that.
Seems like Richard Meyer is just the whole, ever since then, been like, oh yes sir, it's all yours, sir. And then there's been other people that didn't do that, and they got kicked off the top of the shit heap. So I think that's what we're looking at in these messages. I don't know the context. It really doesn't matter. These are messages of Ethan explaining, do a harassment campaign, basically.
Well, in Comic Art Pro Secrets is his old handle.
It's still the name of his channel.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Caesar and the Gay Boys is the name of this group. And that's something that DJ has been pointing that out, and he's right. Like, they talk about gay a lot, like a fucking lot.
I have noticed that among a number of reactionary fandom adjacent communities, is they are very obsessed with sex in general, but like
a lot of gay. I have several queer friends, right? And like, we almost never ever talk about it at all in these types of things. And it's like they constantly, Ethan in particular, constantly is kind of makes you think. I don't know what it makes you think, but it makes you think.
It makes me think he has an unhealthy relationship with his sexual expression.
Yeah, true.
Whatever that is, he does not have a healthy relationship with it.
Oh, here's that guy that fucking didn't tell me who he was, but came on my channel to debate me and ended up conceding my point.
Oh,
so Mike S. Miller, artist of injustice.
Currently in a situation where it's like I've allowed things to happen.
I know that he was one of the ones thrown under the bus of Comicsgate's wheels. He's not cool with them. They're not cool with each other.
They had a falling out, yeah.
It's like I understand there are.
Okay, I don't care about any of that. And see, this is the kind of thing where it's like, okay, you're showing me images, but I don't have the context to know why this is super relevant, I guess. And I don't care enough to.
Well, yeah, and like you see this a lot with like people who want to argue in bad faith. They will just send you a clip of a document or a clip of a thing, and you're just like, see, and it's like, well, what? It doesn't tell you. You've put words on a page, or you've shown me part of a picture of something, but I don't have the whole thing. Gotta have the whole file entirely.
Okay,
like
so the point is apparently this, that Ethan was making anonymous videos about Mike S. Miller and suggesting War Campaign post them. Well, we never did until now. Okay, so this might actually be kind of like the crux of the split between them, is like he was, I guess, wanting them to do things they didn't want to do, or and trying to blame them, maybe, I don't know, I would ask one of those War Campaign people on, but I just don't trust any of these fucking people to tell the truth.
I don't know them, and I'm glad that I don't, and I would like not to know them. I'm busy.
What I'd like to do is read an open letter kind of thing, right?
Sure.
I feel like this will cover a lot of ground, rather than just us kind of like ping-ponging around. So this is by a former coworker of Ethan's, maybe possible future X-Men writer. We'll see.
Gods, I hope.
We can only fucking hope and pray to Bill that it happens. So this is from Gail Simone. This is a kind of an open letter thing that she wrote back in 2018. Damn. September 29th, 2018, after he had made a video saying all kinds of things about her. And it just, so this is on Facebook. And this reveals a lot. Let me get some water. In the meantime, we can look at this other one.
Did sanction the war campaign to go after his father. There's DMs out there.
I know. Do you want to know the context of that?
So there we go. Maybe War Campaign wants to create some fake accounts. I don't know. Photos are up on Google.
Wow.
And keep that in mind. Tuck that in your back pocket. That hey, making fake accounts and harassing somebody, because, got a story for you. Did you read that Alfie thing? A little bit of it. The Norse, Alfie Norse.
No.
The blog I sent you.
I don't think I did. No.
Okay. All right. So, Gail Simone said, "Jesus Christ! I just watched some of Ethan Van Sciver's long video rant about me, and it's the oddest thing ever. It's the first of these I've watched of his videos, and I had to stop. Ethan conveniently forgets a lot here. I'm not mean enough to respond in kind about anything personal. We were, capital letters, friends for a long time. Ethan would talk to me every day, sometimes for hours. We disagreed about politics, but we agreed about what made good comics. Ethan and I shared, I think, a similar problem. We took comics very personally, and we were both extremely resentful of what we thought was unnecessary and damaging interference in the work. Ethan began having some issues. I think he was suffering from depression. I say this completely without judgment. He was going through a hard time. Where our original discussions were fun and our debate lively, we both started struggling a lot during the New 52, and Firestorm in particular was an unending nightmare. They were doing Firestorm together.
Okay.
Maybe he wasn't experiencing full-blown depression. I'm not a doctor, but he went very dark for a long time, and I feel terrible for him. I was pretty dark myself for a good bit. If he was depressed, I wouldn't blame him at all.
No, because that was a really hard time on everyone working on those books, because it was very ambitious.
It was very ambitious, and they also didn't have really the follow-through to be.
No.
Reading this earlier made me think that I think a good FAP episode would be to, once I find that article that has just all those interviews about the New 52, we should look into that.
We should.
Be fun and maybe, I don't know, enlightening. Who knows?
I would say so.
He was going through a lot. He's the kind of terrible. Here's the kind of terrible friend I am. When things were at their worst for him, he made a deal with his ex-wife. Oh, she's being sarcastic. Here's the type of terrible friend I am. He made a deal with his ex-wife. He was allowed to talk to one friend about the problems he was experiencing. He could vent to that friend only. And he chose me to be that friend. And I listened and tried to help where I could for a long, long time. Because friends do that. Most people who know him will say he changed a lot during this time. I thought so too. But I also thought it was understandable. I don't want to reveal personal stuff, but he had a lot on his plate, and I felt terrible for him. Ethan, the fact that none of that counts as actual friendship to you now, and I'm just some deceitful SJW, is both hurtful and nonsensical. I asked for nothing from you, ever, and I was there for you endlessly. I'm sure you had pro friends leeching off of you, but I never asked you for a blessed thing. I know you're going to read this, and you should know, those same people talking bad things about me to you were talking bad things about you to me too. One pretty big name said I was the last human being who could still talk to Ethan Van Sciver. There's a lot more. I don't feel great about repeating that stuff, so I won't. There's a bunch of stuff in that rant that, if I'm being charitable, could just be how things were presented to you rather than a deliberate spin. But there are some facts you omitted. First, all three of our projects together, you came to me. You might remember, if you think back, that I didn't want to do Firestorm and turned it down several times. I turned it down to you, to the editor, and to Bob multiple times. You talked me into it by virtue of your cool ideas, which I still think were brilliant. If I was leeching on your wonderfulness, why did it take all of you pitching me repeatedly to get me to agree? Is that my weird noise that's happening? Or you,
I don't know. Am I having a weird noise?
It's gone now.
Okay.
Is chat like frozen, or is anybody there?
Yeah,
You guys,
hi. Anybody home?
say hi. What's going on? What are y'all thinking? Are you bored to tears, or are you just like stun locked right now?
Yeah,
maybe
no one. If you're in chat, say something.
Let me open up. Sometimes it does freeze in StreamYard, and then I look over on
Doesn't
YouTube.
look like anyone's saying anything in actual chat. I think.
Huh.
We're just. Oh, there's Dan. Hi, Dan. We missed you.
Oh, there they are.
Hi.
Okay. So,
hello, you beautiful people. I know it's very engaging. Just want to know you're there.
As for did she quit or was she fired, I have no idea what receipts you have, but you know very well that I quit. The stuff you left out is this. They wouldn't let me do your cool stuff. I turned in a script that was much more like what you talked about, and they made me rewrite it 3 times. That book had constant editorial interference, worse than any other book I've ever worked on. They asked for constant rewrites, and it was always, always, always from what you had come up with. I hated it. I felt dropping your cool ideas was a terrible direction, and it was very stressful. The entire New 52 was a weird era, and I'm far from the only writer who struggled with what seemed like an incoherent editorial edict. By making Firestorm seem like an outlier, you are deliberately ignoring the context that dozens of books were having similar difficulties with the new edicts.
So much of that era was just rife with that.
By making... Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I feel genuinely bad for him that like he got dumped on by DC this way, but like,
yeah, this is a guy that he just wanted to, that's all a new comic creator wants to do is just make fucking comics,
like, right? Yeah, I believe it's what he wanted to do.
And it's like when you think about what they were trying to do, which was to update the canon of all of the entirety of fucking DC Comics, right? And then in some ways it didn't make any sense to even do it in the first place, which is why they've ended up going back to like they disconnected it from the past, for one thing. Like essentially saying that so much stuff that you know and love from these characters didn't fucking happen. And then some of it did, though, apparently, that kind of shit. And it's just like trying to work all that out. I don't know. It just
I hate to be like, dear DC editorial, it's Firestorm. Like you're gonna like, okay, so here is a legendary comic artist and a legendary comic creator, and you're just not gonna let them go off. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like,
well, I mean, she says here in a minute. Yeah, we're just right here. So She says, by making blah, blah, blah. My complaint was I wanted what we had come up with. All DC wanted was dark, dark, dark. So they were doing grim dark, you know.
Yep. That was very like the New 52 was so rife with that, and there was so many books, and it was all kind of sepia toned that way that like it was I burned out pretty quick on most of those books.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even really get in too deep into the New 52. I was super excited about it when it started, and then pretty quickly I just kind of wasn't sure what the fuck they were doing with a lot of the
I hung on to like Batman Incorporated and Green Lantern, and then
the ones they didn't really change.
The ones they didn't change, yeah.
That was because I wasn't, you know, it's pretty obvious I'm a huge Marvel fan, but I've been into DC to different degrees at different points, and so I do have familiarity with certain stories and whatnot. And I couldn't tell if any of the stuff that I had experienced before mattered anymore in a lot of cases. And that was kind of disconnecting, a little bit alienating. So I tried to quit after issue 4, which you plotted. I said, I want out. The group editor at the time refused to let me leave until issue 6. I was annoyed and miserable, but I bit the bullet and happily quit the moment issue 6 came out. And then I left 10 seconds after, as I promised. I'm going to attribute this to a faulty memory. So apparently what he'd said that he wasn't sure if she got fired or something like that. And it's like, he apparently said several very untrue things in that stream. I'm again going to attribute this to a faulty memory, but I know you know this is what happened if you think about it. And I have receipts as well. Again, DC didn't like the book any better with you fully in charge. So that's worth remembering. Someday in private, I'll tell you what they said to me about leaving the book. It may change your view of events a little bit. I would imagine they were like begging her not to. After Firestorm, we were not as close. I think you know why, and it did affect my enthusiasm for composites. Not sure what composites was. It bothered
together.
Yeah. I don't remember. Well, I think it bothers me too that it's unfinished. One thing I have said a million times and still say, I think you're a spectacular idea man. As for the Lois scene, I don't know what scene, it's been an age. I don't remember how long it was. 8 pages doesn't seem right, but who knows? But I do remember we had a plan to make Lois a POV character, so she needed an introduction. And I remember you raving about that segment. You even sent a note saying how much Moose liked it. We're going to see something from Moose here in a few minutes. And that was rare. So it's a bit odd to hear you say you hated it. It certainly wouldn't have been a big deal to change it. And then this is where it gets really nuts. This thing that you made my career or saved my career, I've heard you say of that about a lot of pros, including some people that it clearly doesn't apply to. I'm not sure how a low-selling series that I quit, a 2-part anthology story, and a graphic novel that never happened, did anything even remotely like that, and I think it's an odd thing to claim. I have always been offered more work than I can handle since I started in the industry. Since long before I met you, and believe it or not, being attached to your name is not always a benefit. She's being so nice here when you can tell that there's more she could be saying.
Right. Like, Gail's a class act.
Mm-hmm.
Even if she's, kind of a dork.
She'll dip her toes into, kind of, I guess.
She stirs some shit.
Slinging some mud, you know what I mean? But like she won't get down in there with it.
No.
So,
and mostly it's about heat vision.
I don't remember any period where I wasn't getting work from DC. Certainly not during the New 52. As they had me on 2 books and wanted me on a 3rd. Not sure what this is about. Currently, I have absolutely never been busier. With a big chunk of my week is having to politely turn things down. And DC just offered me a cool project with a superstar artist last week. In fact, this year alone, I have been asked to work for DC, Marvel, Image, Titan, Eagle, Boom, Dynamite, Dark Horse, Lion Forge, and more, and sometimes on multiple titles, often on whatever book I choose. I have had 2 TV series options in the past few months, one of which I will executive produce. I'm working on 2 film projects that will be announced soon, and I've recently hired to guide Lion Forge's entire superhero imprint. In every single case, these people all came to me. Not the other way around. I just like the fucking baddest ass brag ever. Like, holy shit.
Right. If
Like
they're
she would,
lining up at her door, like she's Gail Simone or something.
she would probably have never had any cause to like list those things in this way, except, well, you gave me the opportunity, I'm going to do it, kind of thing.
I'm gonna humble brag just like a tad, just a little teeny tiny bit.
And here's where I think that this ties into his, I think this reveals a lot. Well, we can talk about it. And you have deliberately misrepresented the exchange where you blocked me. You say I was mad because you voted for Trump. You know that's not true, and I find this is one of the creepiest bits. What happened was you were crowing about Trump winning, which is your right. But what annoyed me was that you had just days previously called Trump a clown, an insane idiot, and that he would be a disaster for the country. I could have ignored it and possibly should have, but I asked about that on Twitter. Hey, Ethan, weren't you saying this about Trump just a few days ago?
There
I
it is.
believe you got embarrassed. Maybe that's not a cool thing for me to do, but it was frustrating to see you constantly say one thing to your friends and the exact opposite to your followers. I have a bunch more examples. You know what some of them are, I'm sure, but I also am pretty sure this wasn't when you blocked me at all. I think you're misremembering, but I haven't double checked. And so, look, I think that Ethan has something going on. I'm obviously not a fucking mental health professional or whatever, but like there are checklists that you can look at. There are, people who specialize in this stuff that write articles and papers and do YouTube videos and stuff that you can go down a list of boxes and check them pretty much all off with Ethan on various things, on a couple of different things. And it's like something that happens sometimes with people where they have, maybe it's a series of traumas, or they just have like a childhood that's super shitty. I know I certainly did.
I think he's been, like even just in this story, right? Like he's been through some stuff, and the industry, especially when you're talking about the big two, like they make a lot of books we love. We just spent an hour talking about X-Men, but like Marvel the company, DC the company, they fucking chew people up and spit them out.
True.
They've
done it since the fucking beginning. I covered fucking
your
Siegel and
Superman
Schuster.
video. Yeah, they've done that forever. And EVS is as much a victim of that as anybody. That said, that doesn't give him license to be a shitty person. Right? Like, yeah, the industry fucking sucks. I am sorry. Yes, I believe your talent probably got abused and tossed around, and you weren't given your full due. Yeah, sure, I agree. So instead, why are you've dedicated your life to something that isn't making that better for yourself and everyone. Instead, you're just attacking people who suffered along with you in those trenches.
Well, and I think what sucks about it is, honestly, I don't know that he can do anything different. Like I don't know that, like I literally think it is a personality disorder.
I might be right.
And it's not like I've said every time I mention this, it's like I in almost every case would never just be like, that person's fucking bipolar or some shit. That's super shitty.
Right.
Don't do that.
Please don't do that. Yeah.
But there are certain contexts, I think, when it's like when someone has a large enough platform and has a large enough reach and can cause, some real harm just by saying a thing.
Yeah.
That maybe if it helps someone to, as long as I try to be responsible about it, probably isn't ultimately responsible in the long run, but whatever, like, fuck, I don't know. It may just be easier to just say, look, if you look this up, you might see some things that you should look out for. You know what I mean?
There are some clinical definitions of some disorders that don't sound dissimilar from how he behaves, especially when he gets in one of those modes. like
So
we saw
here-
with his clip with about Mark.
Well, let's follow up on the Tim cast there and see how he described his time in the comic industry and stuff, and see how it relates to anything that Gail just said, for example.
So we're back into the Beanie verse.
A lot of strange women. I hate to put it this way. Sorry, ladies. A lot of strange women kind of suddenly showed up in the comic book business and basically came at us with this criticism that this was clearly a boys' club. It was unsafe for women, and everything that you guys are putting out is sexist, and it's racist, and it's homophobic. And, well, we're going to fix that. If you hire us, and you should hire us, we're going to fix that. Because if you don't hire us, you're sexist. So suddenly all of these women show up, and they start basically making changes to this sort of male-dominated hobby. This is a male-driven culture. Obviously, it is. These power fantasies are mostly for boys. But they started to make these changes.
Okay, so like, I know he's giving an interview, and like he's not going to just cite his sources and name names immediately, but like, I was talking about Gail Simone, who's been around forever. Like, she wrote her Deadpool run in the 90s. This wasn't a suddenly they hired women thing. At least as far as Gail goes. I don't know about everyone he's referring to, obviously, but like,
Right. Well, the being vague is part of it, right?
right, yeah. But like, to give him
Well,
the
I mean-
benefit of the doubt, like, when did this happen? But also, like, as far as this is a boys' club, a power fantasy thing. This interview was like last year, right? I'm not crazy.
I think it was this year. Still,
Jesus
actually,
Christ, time flies.
I know because his beard has gone gray since then. It's crazy.
Right. So, even when I was in high school, I knew girls who read comics, and because I grew up in the Batman the Animated Series era. Like, there's a lot of people who liked Batman. It wasn't this idea of like it's a boys' space, it's a boys' power fantasy. I think that's certainly how the toys were marketed, right? I think you read about shows like Young Justice getting canceled because it had a female demographic. Shows that there was this disconnect between the industry perception of who was interested in these stories and the actual audience that was consuming them.
Well, like, I mean, of course, it is majority boys and men, and it's definitely more so decade or two or more ago. Like, as time goes on, there's more and more women, girls that read this stuff, and non-binary people. But the point is like, even if it was still the 90s, why would you consider it this way? And like, if you care about the health and vitality of this industry, why would you put any kind of fucking limit on it like that?
Right.
Restriction on it? Not to mention the fact that, like, basically everything he said in there, and this is one of the problems with this guy, is that everything he said in there is a reductive reduction on top of reduction in a really bad faith description. You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Right. And
So,
I guess he's giving an interview, and so like it's going to be pared down. He's not doing a deep dive.
It's not like Tim Pool's going to do any follow-ups either.
And yeah, Tim Pool is not a particularly good interviewer at all.
Well, but I think we can kind of like look back in time a little bit with a little resource here, to kind of figure out maybe where some of this stuff, came from with him. So here is an image, Brady Bunch kind of image from his brother's book.
Sure.
One Dirty Tree. Noah Van Sciver. It's actually a good ass book, and if you'd like to, support him, you could. It's on Amazon and stuff. And he seems like a well-rounded, well-adjusted guy, which just goes to show it's possible. But yeah, so you see there, Ethan, I think, is the oldest. There he is in the center there. But
he should rock that do again. I'm just gonna he should rock that do again.
I don't think he can.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oops.
I hadn't considered that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he does seem like a good dude. Like, just reading this book, it's like somebody who is looking back on a, sometimes painful childhood and growing up and stuff, and still being finding the value in the little, aspects that were good, kind of thing. And it's like that's the that's what a healthy adult might do, right?
Yeah.
So right here, he describes Ethan, and this is really maybe the most that Ethan's talked about in this. Ethan was a character artist at Cherry Hill Mall, and at home he was working on his first comic book, Cyberfrog. He had a goth girlfriend that would give him gifts like a spider web made from wire and photos of dead animals. Like, honestly, that sounds like a kind of girl I'd be interested in in high school or whatever. Josiah didn't draw comics, but he collected and read them. In fact, all of the males in my family read comics. They were scattered all over. So there's, if we go back, we can see that there's Jenna. That's a woman, his mom. So there's a few girls, women.
Yeah.
Yeah. Abby, actually, there's almost more than
1, 2,
males.
3, 4.
And none of them, apparently, according to that, were into none of them were into comics. So, like, from his perspective growing up, it's understandable to think, at a certain point, like, oh, boys, comics are a boys thing. Like, look, only the boys in my family do this. And he probably had friends that were just boys that, like, you know what I mean? Like, it makes some sense. But then you kind of, most people tend to grow up and observe the world outside of their, limited kind of childhood bubble and kind of like process that new input, right? It's like he just has chosen to keep his perspective frozen in this fucking in place here, and this might be just completely off the mark. I don't know. Like, I don't. Who knows what his justifications are? It just doesn't seem to make any sense at all that you would limit comics to just being a boys or men thing. In fact, so we go here. Oh yeah, same page. The top part describes kind of like how they, all had several of the boys lived in this attic bedroom here.
Well, that's a large. I mean,
yeah,
it's a large family.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, but I mean, it's still, like, honestly, it looks like a cool setup. If they all got along pretty well, then that'd be kind of cool. But things weren't always great. Honestly, they seemed kind of like there was this extended period where things were very shitty, and I say this as someone who experienced extended periods of as a child, teenager, things were very shitty. So when I bought this book a couple of years ago, when I ordered it, I was thinking, oh, I'm going to learn about his childhood, and I'm going to see what it's like and stuff like that. And then I'm reading it, and the strangest fucking thing happened. For the first time ever, I empathized with Ethan Van Sciver. And I didn't know what to do with that at first. I was like, that's kind of upsetting.
Well, I think empathizing with someone doesn't mean you have to take their side, right? I think that's the mark of a well-reasoned person, is you can see that we can have empathy for someone and disagree with them.
Well, I mean, so the thing was that before that, though, I had just seen him almost as like in a weird way, like a mythological fucking
right
beast that needed to be slain almost, or something like, not really, but like, I just didn't see any. All I saw was the things that I knew about him now and recently that were like, oh, what a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, none of this, like, oh, he was just a child who experienced some fucking hard shit like I did, and I know exactly what he probably felt like at various times. I was a kid who was into rock music and comic books whenever I was dealing with a lot of shit that he dealt with.
Right.
So it's like, we're not so different, you and I. Well, we are now, but nonetheless, here's like splinters in the floor. I didn't have that, thank fucking God.
No, I don't,
But let's see, what else was there? Yeah, dad having to pull him out. And here's, if you know my channel, you know me, you know that I'm never going to fucking use any kind of mental illness as like fucking talking down on someone because of it. Like, you're bad or whatever, like dismiss someone, because spoiler alert, his dad actually seems pretty awesome now. But at this point, I think his dad is it says in the book here he is bipolar. I know people that are bipolar, good people, not anything like inherently wrong with that. But he, a man in probably the 80s and 90s, especially a Mormon, they grew up Mormon, they're poor. He probably wasn't getting the best treatment for it back then, if any at all, or medication. And that it seems to have created some conditions for abuse, as well as just poverty in general and shit like that.
Well, and like, I don't know how Mormon their family was, but often like I've had some friends who come from Mormon families, and like the bishop shakes you down, kind of like, oh, you got a tithe, right? Like you're gonna like they want to know your income, and they want their money. It's a very where's the money Lebowski situation.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck that they're literally just broke and poor and whatnot, and like it's just
it's so like that's not a healthy environment to grow up in.
No, and what it does is it creates trauma. Like for example, I have post-traumatic stress disorder. That's really not what it is. Technically, there's just not, for some reason, it's not in the DSM in the US, but in the UK and Europe, it is. It's called complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So that's what I really have. That's what I've treated. That's how I've been able to manage my, we used to have really bad panic attacks and all this shit. And it's like now I'm, generally much better because I started reading books and doing workbooks and going to therapy for complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So instead of, like a car crash or an assault or going to war or whatever, it's like one incident of like trauma. It's a prolonged kind of thing, often in childhood, where there's neglect, there's abuse, there's, like basically when a child is not given the kind of stability, the consistency and stability that a child should be given for a healthy, upbringing kind of thing, or that's just for a period kind of not there or something like that. It can really just kind of not. A kid might not develop a foundation that a person needs to grow into a healthy adult. Now you can get older and then fucking kind of develop that in, a post hoc situation. It's never going to be like as ideal as if it had been done in the first place the right way, but still. And I think that that's kind of maybe what happened with Ethan, and what one of the things that can result in is like personality disorders, like borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, things like that.
He has a me-centric view of the world, I think is.
And so what it can
what
do,
I would
like,
boil that down to.
When you see someone like this, and I think Eric July, I don't kind of feel like maybe he's got a similar thing, honestly, but like someone who is just so fucking full of themselves to this degree that like they deny reality and they're lying to your fucking face and they're saying things that you just know aren't true because they want this, they need this story, this narrative that they're putting out there to be true, right? Like, and that's for them.
Well, and
it's
I
all
think,
sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think there is a lot of people do this thing, and I see it a lot in some people I interact with regularly, where they have they build a story of how they want something to happen and how all the pieces move.
We all do it to some degree. Like we all have like
right. It's pretty normal. But where this issue comes in is when that movie in your mind that you have the soundtrack going in your brain and everything, and then just like doesn't work. The thing that caused that not to work just can fuck with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we see that. I think that's why we have a lot of like, especially when you're talking about like people with a large social media presence, where like when that movie in your mind gets broken and there's a person there who you can point to and say, that fucker did it.
Mm-hmm.
You can unload a lot of anger at them, and if you have the sort of following that will join in that behavior, you can cause a lot of damage.
If, for example, you before you develop even if you had something like this happen and you grow up and then like you realize, oh, I got some problems and having depression, anxiety, whatever. And as Gail said, it seems like you had some depression issues and whatnot.
And I would be surprised. I would have been crawling up the walls if I had to work at DC during the New 52.
And so you think about it from his perspective, right? To be as charitable as possible. Like
Right.
he dealt with this shit by drawing as a kid, as a teenager. Like that's how he fucking got through. And I assume he went to some college and maybe learned some, something, got a degree or at least went to college or whatever. But like he fucking focused on drawing. He was like, this is my ticket. This is what I'm going to do. I'm good at it. I'm going to be fucking badass at it. And he was, and he got to fucking superstar, basically, kind of status. If he would have been able to stay at the level he was at, he would absolutely be a fucking legend in comics instead of whatever he is going to be. But then he started, like you're talking about, experiencing, what didn't make any sense to him and probably doesn't make sense to any of us if we knew all the details. The kind of editorial bullshit and corporate bullshit that was being, thrown in his way. And he just wanted to do these cool ideas and do these cool comics. And to him, that's what it's supposed to be about. And probably I'd agree with him even. And it's like, it was like he had the wind at his back, right? And he's just like, life is mine. I'm doing the fucking thing. I'm doing the thing that I set out to do. I'm awesome at it. Everybody loves me at it. I love Green Lantern. Fucking gets drum all the time, kind of thing. Firestorm, whatever. And then things started not going that way. And I think also around this time, I believe he also had marriage issues, things like that. It doesn't take much, to be honest. Like,
no, it's especially if you don't like it, if there's not a support system. And like when I say a support system, like we don't live in a society that like encourages any level of mental health care. No. In fact, I would go as far to say that until very recently, it actively discouraged it.
I mean, it still really does because the culture is such that, like, that's all tied up with conservatism, even not conservatives.
I think if there's even some of that on the left, where a lot of people on the left, sort of default to viewing conservatives as mentally ill, and I don't think that's true. I think there are certainly mentally ill conservatives, but like I don't think they're all diagnosably mentally ill. I think they just
it's more like unhealthy perspectives kind of thing, like a worldview that has not been developed in a healthy way.
I would agree, but like I wouldn't want to pathologize them. I don't think that's
sure. Yeah,
I think that also like lets them off the hook a little bit, right? Like that their views are a mental illness. They're not responsible, right? They can't help themselves. Well, that's not true.
If I can be perfectly honest here, I'll say something that I don't know. I guess I wasn't planning on saying, but I'll say it.
Sure.
I think Ethan Van Sciver is an incredibly intelligent man. I think he's, I talked about a lot of chuds in my day on this channel and stuff, and a lot of them I've called stupid. There are a lot of them that are very, very dumb. He isn't one of them. And it almost, if I kind of just like momentarily said all the things I know that he's done and it was said and stuff over here for a minute, it's tragic. Yeah. That's kind of the way that things have gone for him, and that, but like what I was saying a minute ago is that if you don't kind of start going to therapy and start kind of raising yourself, that's essentially what I did in a way. Is like I had to kind of like go back into my fucking memories and think about, essentially kind of,
if you can't build some kind of system to support yourself as you figure it out, right? Like,
but what you do have is, like you said, an army of people who fucking will hang on your every word. They think you're great. They love what you do. Like, you could fucking do anything, and they're just going to laugh at it. And laugh about it and fucking laugh at your enemies. They're going to attack your enemies. It's not a good fucking mix. It's kind of like I don't know, like there's celebrities that have been in situations where it's like
that happens so odd. Like you look at like those what it reminds me of a lot when you see people who have a social media presence or content creators online. And I think I would say that EVS has definitely moved away from being a comic artist towards being an online personality. I don't think that's unfair.
Yeah.
There is this reality TV element where, like, if you read about how people who are on like those like wife swap shows or Big Brother or whatever, where like there's kind of this cognitive pressure cooker that they're in. And I think being an online personality causes those same sort of reactions in people's brains where like you are not meant to be that visible to that many people all at once as a human. Your brain, we're dumb monkey people. We're not supposed to be like that. Like, we've done that, and that's interesting and fascinating, but like it can fuck you up.
Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like the just the very edges of that kind of effect whenever, if I stream for 2 days in a row and each stream is like 3 hours long or something, which I don't do because of this, I'll start to feel just a little bit too, like, almost psychologically naked or something. Maybe was way. So I haven't really thought about how to describe it, but it's like, this isn't right. Like, I don't
Right.
need to be seen by this many people that I cannot see, and I don't know anything about them, but they're learning about me. And it's just, there's some kind of
Yeah.
weird thing there that
Well,
that
like,
isn't-
I get a similar feeling to that when I'm running events at a convention all weekend, where like I am in front of a bunch of strangers and I am putting on games for them. I don't know most of them. I'm entertaining them. And I'm not being paid. It's all volunteer. So like I'm just putting myself out there, and afterwards it's like you have to reorient yourself in reality that like fuck's going on here.
So
yeah, I think all of that builds up to create your contemporary Ethan Van Sciver.
exactly. We don't need to look at really anymore. That's really the main parts of that I wanted to look at. Is that he those things happened, and that's what it was like, and I'm not trying to fucking shame him or like
No.
make fun of him or for any of that, because I'd be making fun of myself. And if anything, I wish that there was a way that I could. I don't know that it's even possible to speak with him on any real person level anymore. I don't know that he's capable of that anymore. I maybe at some point he was, but like, he was complaining. I have a clip of it where he was talking to Eric Reloaded whenever they ended up on a stream together recently.
Oh,
saying that we want none of his friends will talk to him, talking about DJ's friends, and meaning me. Bob did talk to him, but like, I think he really means me, to be honest. Not to make it about me, but like,
right.
when he debated organized chaos, he said forced adversity like 9 times.
He did talk about you a fair number of times, and that it was a little awkward.
So yeah, and if I knew that it was possible to, but I've heard the way that he talks. I've seen conversations with him enough times now and seen him say one thing in this conversation that's like, you can tell he's just saying this way because that's beneficial to him in this moment. And then like in another context, he's going to say something kind of completely different, or even contradictory, because that's what, and that sucks, because I don't know. He's just not.
I think that like, if I were him in his position and I wanted to like figure out where the heck my life was at, I would unplug the camera. I would sign out of Twitter, and I would just like go somewhere I've never been, right? Like, and that doesn't have to be like, travel out of the country or whatever. Just like go meet new people and just like figure out who you are when you take away all the things you surround yourself all the time with, right? And like, just sort of reorient yourself away from this sort of person you've built yourself up to be, and this person that you've been built up to be. Because I think when you are a former superstar artist, you look at what happens to like, not that I think this is one-to-one, but like how often child actors who get big get fucked up. Like, he's been at this a long time, and he's wanted to be at this since he was a child. Like at some point, like,
and it was
you're
taken
lost
from
at
him,
sea.
and
it was taken right. It was,
and he doesn't have the framework within himself to be accountable for how
Right.
that happened. So therefore, the world is his fucking enemy. And that's essentially what we're looking at here. Like we can, if you look back just a few years, you can almost see where it really was transitioning to this. So here's an article from February 2018, so earlier that same year, from the Gail Simone one. This is on Bleeding Cool. Ethan Van Sciver is a successful superhero comic book artist, beginning with his own character, Cyberfrog. He would go on to draw New X-Men, written by Grant Morrison, Green Lantern Rebirth by Jeff Johns, go exclusive with DC Comics, which is, that's a big deal. Neither one of them typically sign somebody exclusive unless they're like, this person is fucking awesome. They're hot.
and we want them to do a lot.
Yeah. More recently drew the DC Rebirth series, Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. He's also continuously exhibited a rather fractious online personality. Fractious is an interesting term there, Rich Johnson.
Yeah, that's an interesting term. I don't think it's wrong necessarily either. I think that,
and has been accused of
being fractured about his behavior.
Let's see how much, if we've seen any of this, if we can kind of like confirm it, this is being accurate. He's been accused of being an agitator and a troll. Over the course of much of his professional career, he's generally characterized such behavior simply as over the top, often ironic, bombastic banter. But last year, even he seemed to accept the notion that it was something beyond that. In May 2017, I'm not sure what came before this, but his post said, "I'm going to try to focus on being kinder. I try every day, but I have this mean streak," he said, in part. So while Van Sciver has echoed that desire for a kinder focus on social media in more recent times, there are many who would say that this mean streak still in large part defines him and guides his current intent in ways not too far removed from that pivotal moment last year.
When was this written?
What was that?
When was this written?
So this was written in February 2018. It's referring to a moment in May 2017.
Okay.
At that time, some of his privately posted comments became subject to public scrutiny.
That'll do
it. And this is where some of the stuff that I've shown a few times. So while in heated discussion, Van Sciver suggested that another user, let's see. I guess I don't have I don't have the image up, but that's okay. Suggested that another user, someone who had been suffering from depression, should kill themselves. This seemed to be a critical moment for the artist and for the people around him. Many creators spoke out about the incident, and he seemed to realize he'd gone too far. Indeed, DC Entertainment President Diane Nelson was made aware of the situation and responded to it in a private email, which we are running for the first time here. Replying to concerns that a fan had expressed to her, Nelson stated that Van Sciver's comments were offensive, did not meet their standards for their creators, and that his actions did not speak for DC Comics. And then essentially, of course, she ends up just saying, "I completely understand if people don't want to buy his comics." That was how she handled it.
Well, yeah, that's your typical first offender corporate blurb.
And he did his the typical first offender kind of response to that, where he said he publicly apologized, committed to changing his ways, vowing not to vent on social media. He closed 2 of his 3 Facebook accounts, weird, and withdrew, stating, "I'm going to try focus on being kinder, blah, blah." Truly, I'll be a better man. He said, "If you feel I've been cruel to you in the course of our political debates, I'm sorry. Truly, I'll be a better man." There's room in this page for the okay. So the question is, has Van Sciver made good on that apology and promise, or has his mean streak gotten the better of him?
Well, this was written in 2018, and today is 2023. So I'm gonna.
The name of this article is "The Return of Ethan Van Sciver's Mean Streak."
There we go.
So he's shown glimpses of being the better man, he vowed. Spoken up against instances of abuse directed at LGBTQ comic book creators. He's tweeted about the need to treat each other with kindness, but overshadowing those glimpses, he has continually invested considerable effort in elevating voices whose intent seems in direct opposition to these words. Here's where it gets, you start seeing these associations. He started a YouTube channel ostensibly to share the secrets of comic book artists, to present his commentary on the industry and engage with figures from Box Day to Chuck Dixon to Mark Waid. 1 out of 3 ain't bad, right? But more often, Richard C. Meyer, the commentator behind the Diversity in Comics YouTube channel, which stands accused of propagating bigotry, hate speech, and harassment. Meyer's followers have aimed abuse against many members of the comic book community. For transparency, that often includes me, as in Rich Johnson, the writer, editor-in-chief of Bleeding Cool. Van Sciver's hosted a number of videos with Meyer now, equivocating away Meyer's actions, past and present. It was in light of this that Van Sciver openly posted an invite to one of his critics, cartoonist and store employee Daryl Io, to come onto a live stream show to debate comic artist John Mallon with Ethan as moderator. You just see this stuff playing out like over and over since then too. This is a commentary from Daryl Ao and what his perspective on this is. And this is like, they do this. This is what he's done so many times, where he'll like, suddenly Ethan has got his sights on somebody, some figure in the industry, and he's talking about him, and he's got, acting like they've done something. It's like, it has to seem like, what the fuck? What are you talking about me for these people? And
right.
So Daryl Ao says, I don't have a history with Ethan Van Sciver prior to January 23rd, 2018. He's a known superhero artist, and I'm a mini comics creator and comics critic. I've never interacted with him, haven't made any attempt to interact with him. We're from different parts of the comic art form and industry. In professional terms, nothing led to this. There was no reason for him to even be thinking about me, much less talking to me. That said, he decided to invite me, and I don't see it necessarily as an invitation, to appear on a show after I'd been highlighted and targeted for harassment by an online person called Diversity in Comics. So, to recap, Richard Meyer decided, for whatever reason, I don't know if this is maybe it's a person of color creator or a queer creator or something like that, or had just spoken in positive ways about those things. But Richard Meyer targeted him, made content about him. Then suddenly, of course, his audience is fucking probably bombarding him. And then, Ethan reaches out as like, hey man, we should come on, let's talk about whatever differences or some shit. And this is how Ethan Van Sciver has ingratiated himself into communities outside of his immediate influence for years. That's why he goes on the Geek Getaway, even though I think that Tony knows that that's what's going on. I'm pretty sure it seems Tony's not that stupid. Tony just pretends to be more of like a impartial arbiter, but he's kind of got him on there a lot and lets him say whatever he wants. This is how he operates. It's how he's gotten new marks over and over again, to take money and to not put out comics. So, yeah, and then there's John Malin, whatever the fuck, I don't even know. Like, supposedly he's somebody that's worked in the industry. I don't think I've read anything he's done. Yeah, so.
And that's all years. It's 5 years ago now, right? And this is just continued unabated.
This is 7 years ago. Because when I kind of came over to this the linked article from May 2017, where it talks about, oh wait, that's the right one. Where it talks about the kill yourself post. Look who happened to respond to that one. I was surprised to see this. Mark Brooks. So after the apologies, some people, wasn't enough. There have been streams of negative commentary from the comic book professionals on private Facebook pages that haven't been made public. But Mark Brooks' Facebook page is public and has his profile photo. That photo, Tender Slices, burning the copy of Secret Empire with his cover. So it's not as if he is immune to controversy. Look, another tie-in to the fucking previous FAP. That's crazy.
There we go.
He says, I don't know what my line is for treatment of fans or even my fellow human beings is. I like to think I try really hard to be a good person, but I'm positive that a pro telling a fan that they should kill yourself, loser, makes you a garbage person.
Not a fan.
Yeah.
Definitely not a great look.
And so then from here we can kind of skip over to this one last thing that is just maybe last thing. I don't know. Depends on how much longer you guys are paying attention. We got 53. So there's a website called, or it's a WordPress site called This Is Comicsgate. Not comicsgate.org. That's a complete fucking, like, that is the hub of a lot of bullshit.
Oh, I don't even want to see that. You know what? I'm having a perfectly good day, just chilling.
This ain't that. But you know, it's still got Comicsgate stuff, so it's not going to be all pleasant. It's just an accounting, and I'm really, really grateful for whoever has run this and done this, because like and this is just a fraction of the shit that's going on in these people's names, but
right.
Tess Fowler is a known poisonous liar who spearheads actual harassment campaigns. So on the one hand, downplaying the harassment campaigns from their end, and then I think just lying.
That is not just a Comicsgate tactic. That's a classic, like, alt-right tactic. Is they'll go on a harassment campaign, and then as soon as someone pushes back a little, then they try and recontextualize it as, oh, you're harassing us.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, they're still around to some smaller degree, thanks to Keffels, but there was a group that kind of, this was just what they were known for. And look, he has said that this is fake, but I don't know. This is a Zelle payment from Ethan Van Sciver, $9,542 payment.
That's a very specific amount.
To the owner operator of Kiwi Farms. In 2019. Keep up the good work, Goy. The yikes. Which is just, look.
That's not good.
It's kind of weird.
I don't know how else to phrase it. Like,
could it be fake? Maybe. But I mean, it's a very convincing fake, you know?
Yeah, like I guess that, like, I don't use Zelle or Zelle or whatever it is. Does that like show your full name? It doesn't show a username or an email address. It just fucking farts out your real ass name.
Right, because it is Zelle is just an app that is connected to a certain bank. Like it's not like PayPal. It's not like Venmo. It is just it does have a cutesy name, but it still just shows like it's a bank transfer, basically.
It's just a bank transfer.
And yeah, so
like, I guess to Monday morning quarterback him some more. Let's say that was fake, right? Let's say he goes that is fake, right? And the operator of Kiwi Farms just like made this to stir some shit, right?
Or some wicked SJW could have done
right, something. Yeah. Like let's just say this is the guy. Like, you know, okay. If I were the sort of person in the position Ethan was, I would go on a warpath against this guy.
Yeah, we've seen that he's completely capable of, you know, speaking out loudly against people that piss him off. Why wouldn't he do that against this?
Right. These guys are literally, if this was fake, they're literally defaming you.
But I mean, also, let's consider
Huh.
Kind of makes you think. Kinda makes you.
Hey, Pink Bunny Zero's here. Hey, Pink Bunny Zero. How's it going?
Kinda makes you think.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, not all of these are directly related. I was just kind of cycling through. But you know what? I think now it is probably time to learn about this guy, this Alfred Norris fella. If you guys are down like this, so to preface it, the night I had been wanting to make YouTube videos, I had ideas for like Secret Empire stuff I wanted to talk about, you know, back in 2016, 17, whenever that came out. I was like, man, I wish I could talk about this, but I suck. Nobody wants to hear me talk. I can barely talk in front of two people I don't know. Get in front of a camera? No way. That was me back then, right? I wanted to talk about the Hulk. I wanted to talk about, you know, all kinds of shit. But the thing that fucking just said, fuck this, it's time to fucking just bite down on my, my fear and just go. Just do it. Put on a fucking Captain America helmet and a stupid glowing mask and just fucking do it. Okay.
The glowing mask was great though. Just so bizarre, but very eye-catching.
But the thing that kind of launched me into it, that trajectory finally, after probably more than a couple years of thinking, I wish I could be a YouTuber. It seems like I really enjoy that kind of thing. Was this specific blog. And let me find it here. Now I don't know. I'm not gonna say that I don't know anything really about this guy other than what is in this blog, and what the fact that he was an attorney, and now apparently he seems to have had his license suspended or revoked for reasons I don't know. Somebody had mentioned something, might have been Mark Brooks actually, had told me when I mentioned this guy that like, he's not the best person either or something, but he didn't go into details. So none of this is to like say that I'm defending this guy as a human being and like, hey, he's a good man or nothing. I don't fucking know this guy.
We can have a bad guy fight.
We can. And this is more indicative of just like, let's just learn about this thing. What seems to have, what's claimed to have happened. And there are some receipts. Oh, where'd it go? Okay, here we go. I think. Where the fuck is it? Oh, he's like updating again now. I did not realize. He's got some more recent posts. He had just. So I think I need to go back to 2019-ish or something. Oh my God. Did he delete them?
Oh.
What the fuck? I swear to God, I just was on this the other day.
Wow.
Okay, I think I found it. No. Wow. Wow.
Less than idea.
So this almost seems to like have been done in spite of me or something, because I swear to fuck I was just doing this, looking at this the other day. And I mean,
did you link it to me on Discord at all?
Yes. And I was reading through it whenever I linked it to you. In fact.
Okay, is it in that channel?
Yeah, I forget actually.
Did you hold on.
Okay, I found it, I think. Okay. Okay, here we go. I found it. Whew.
Okay.
Started to get a little paranoid there.
I see that. Whoa, yeah. Like let's mind the paranoia.
Well, so it wasn't accessible through the same links. I had to kind of go roundabout to get there. It does seem to be like there's some attempt at minimizing it maybe or something. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Whatever. Okay, so guy's name is Alfie Norris. This is his blog, his kind of website blog thing. He's an attorney, or was an attorney, and he also makes cosplay stuff, I think. Seems like. For other people is like a service, and makes money doing that, I suppose. So he met Ethan Van Sciver in 2009 when he liked his Facebook page, which he uses to promote his work and increase his fan base, but he also picks on fans with put-down jokes, belittling comments, and taunts. He seemed like a decent guy at first when him and his ex-wife had met Ethan in person at a convention in Atlanta. They talked for a while, drew a picture of the Hulk for him. They previously had some political arguments, your typical back and forth, but in person, everything was fine. In public, he's on his best behavior. Cool. All right. That's a pretty innocuous interaction there. And he got a Hulk drawing. Cool. Good for him. Yeah, I don't know that I'd say it holds up as a great piece. I've seen better.
And for a sketch, it's not bad.
No, not really. I mean, not bad at all. So here's Ethan. Look, I'm going to tell you what I see just looking at this. Ethan seems very insecure here. And I know this is someone who's spent a lot of my life and sometimes still has moments and days where I do feel insecure. It just, I don't know, just saying in that image. I mean, so, he posted about it. He had a great time, got along really well, so on and so forth. They talked after that online from time to time. The exchanges were friendly. That link is not there. Screenshot. Okay, friendly, cool. Uneasy smile, yeah, that too. But Van Sciver would regularly post insulting messages on his Facebook page to troll his fans. Well, that seems like that's probably true.
That tracks.
Some of us would enter the thread disagreeing and debating what he said, and that's when his gang of friends would target individuals for harassment. This is like the beginnings of this is kind of like almost the early stages of how his attack squad kind of thing. When you could actually name them, they have names in this.
And this is 2011.
Yeah. It was worse than the usual internet argument. They made insulting comments and personal attacks that were not confined to his page. They sent vulgar, harassing messages to personal accounts, and the barrage was relentless. The attacks escalated into belligerence and aggression bad enough to cause me concern that these people might be dangerous. It is a pattern that can be seen time and again on Van Sciver's Facebook page. He starts the argument, people fire back, then the goon squad pounces, bullying in ways that are wholly inappropriate and threatening in any forum under any circumstances. Who are they? And then they, here's some names. I don't know if any of these people are still around or if these are their real names or what, but there's some names.
Those are the names that this guy uses.
They stalked me, as they have others, by searching my internet presence and finding personal and professional information that they used to embarrass and insult for no reason other than they disagreed politically. Van Sciver and the Goon Squad call themselves conservative, but they're a disgrace to any honorable people who are evangelical Christians. I mean, can you disgrace yourself more than that? Who favor small government and low taxes and who support an originalist. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Fuck up. Look, the guy may be a piece of shit. He may even be a fucking conservative, this guy. But, the shit that he ends up describing, if it did take place the way that he describes,
pretty crappy.
He didn't deserve. And his unrelated family didn't deserve what ended up happening, who had nothing to do with any of it. But these people started going after them too, eventually. This seems to track too. Van Sciver, they posture themselves as tough guys who use obscene humor to attack whining, weak liberals. Here's some names of some other people they've allegedly also targeted. Here's a private message sent from a time when we were still semi-friendly where Van Sciver admits he likes to mess with this other guy. Alfie, I don't care. I'm just trying to get Ian going. He's like a rusty old moped. If you can just get it going, it's a lot of fun until it collapses into a mess.
Yikes.
So, you got to think, there's something kind of just not right that someone would describe something like that and not realize, oh, wait, I'm kind of a fucking asshole, aren't I? He's enjoying, that's the goal, right?
To get your friend so agitated they go and harass somebody else. Yeah, I don't particularly care for that behavior. I'm not going to lie.
And then here's and look, this is basically what this is Kiwi Farms in a way. That's the basic structure of how they would operate. They would target people, fucking fuck with them and bully them until, well, the details are a lot more upsetting and triggering, so to speak, with. But that's the same general attack plan.
Well, it comes out of the earlier days of 4chan, back when they would go after Scientology. They weren't shy about naming names.
Sorry.
Nah, you're good.
I'm just I'm just on track here, trying to get through
Yeah,
here.
you're just trying to get through it. Yep.
So here he vilifies a decent guy, manipulates people into physically threatening him after already treating the guy like crap. I mean, I don't know about it. Like that's all stuff that's being said. I don't know. But their worst attacks are those directed at women. The worst they sent me was a post describing my ex-wife being given a torture porn facial after my marriage.
What?
After my marriage broke up, they did the same sort of thing to my girlfriend. These men really like to beat up on women. Is there a link there that's working? Nope. Who have done nothing at all to deserve any sort of harassment. They have all placed vulgar, pornographic posts on the websites of my girlfriend's family, who have no idea who these people are, why they're doing this. They did the same thing to wedding photos a friend of mine posted on his Facebook page. They have stalked me to other groups where they have posted insulting, harassing comments. They did the same thing, same to the Facebook page of the law firm where I work, and to a side business I run. Presumably this cosplay stuff.
Right.
They've created false Facebook accounts in my name and posted the same sorts of things as if I were doing it. I contacted Facebook. No, of course.
Well, yeah, that's useless.
How naive of you, Alfie. Van Sciver's role. He plays the good guy in all this, saying he had nothing to do with any of it, and the attackers were just high-spirited guys who sometimes go over the top. But that's the abusive way he strings you along. He makes manipulative comments like you're just not able to take a joke, that the Goon Squad really meant no harm. In my case, he contacted me directly, saying he wanted to fix things. Here's a private message where he contacted me to come back after they'd attacked me. He wants me to believe him that he's not in this whole thing, so I can come back and be a whipping boy again. I wish you'd believe me and continue to be the patsy. That's not what the patsy is. Well, dude, you apologized to me yesterday or the day before, then went on to post that apologies are easy when you don't mean them seconds later. I'm not saying the latter has anything to do with the former, but it's kind of, no, it definitely does, Alfie. Don't be a tool. But he is without a doubt the ringleader. He orchestrates it all. He thinks it's funny, and in some way, I guess, he feeds his sociopathic narcissism an enormous ego. And like any abuser, he will apologize, say he's been misunderstood, and paints himself as the victim. That's something we see over and over again. He has had his Facebook account pulled one time for bullying, and his goons created a page called Give Ethan Van Sciver his Facebook page back. And this is the kind of fucking bullshit irony that like makes it completely useless to talk to these guys, him or anybody like this. Like, because they created this page, give him his profile back, keep in mind, banned for or suspended for bullying, and then they start
just goes back to doing it.
Well, then they're posting about how, this page supports worthy causes. If you've ever been harassed, bullied, or cyberstalked by a known hater and liar, or any other usual BS, you may need a resource like this. Download it and make your wallpaper or desktop background to protect yourself from hateful trolls.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And then it's got teasing, insults, lies, name-calling, harassment, cyberbullying, rumors, gossiping,
Right.
And a couple of these, like, threats, like some of these are actually not just innocuous things in any way, shape, or form. And look, one of these guys making another account and fucking with them through that, makes fake profiles to harass people. Like, and this is when Ethan had just a few friends basically around that were doing this stuff. His influence has grown significantly since then. Of course, it's also shrunk, but still, it's still bigger than this. Right here, nearings all over the page. All of you talk. Get it taken down. Someone is now having a very bad day. I apologize, Alfie. I know who did it. It's gone. I should have done that to begin with. I wasn't thinking carefully. Now take down that message. Thanks for blaming me. Okay, I'll take it down. I'm super pissed. I feel like choking you. This is abusive behavior. Anybody fucking doesn't realize that. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but like, fuck, dude. As soon as you give this guy a single fucking inch of like, all right, I'll give you a little bit of benefit of the doubt. Oh, yeah? You give me benefit of the doubt? I'm going to punish you for that. You know what I mean?
Right. I will smack you down now.
And then this kind of manipulative fucking, honestly, just fucking sociopathic kind of shit. I see. So you weren't ever my friend, were you? I was a famous person to you. You were a fan. The fact that you couldn't take a joke or deal with guys ribbing you as you ribbed them is obvious. It's very sad, but thinking that you were one of my friends was my mistake. I await your apology. Seriously, I'm sorry for all of this. Can't we just be friends again, Alfred? Can I call you? Like, what the fuck? This is like, wow. And it just gets fucking, it devolves. It still gets worse, guys. Like goes on
goes
to,
on and on and on. Yeah.
I love you, dude. You know what? You and I can't be pals again. And then at this point, he's doing a podcast that he had called Van Skyvertown, I think it was. And he's talking about him. And at one point, they managed to talk him into coming on the podcast to talk about it and get all sorted out, right? And as friends. It didn't go that way, believe it or not.
This is horrifying.
After like a long ass time of convincing him to come on the podcast to bury the hatchet or whatever, he did. And he told them ahead of time that he was going to have to leave at a certain time. And then, yeah, there we go. It would be forgotten if I came back. He invited me to appear. I agreed. It was a setup. So whenever he eventually said he had to leave at the time that he told him he was going to, it set them off. They said I was leaving because I couldn't take it. They denied I had told them earlier that I had a previous appointment. Mm-hmm. On that false premise, they started abusing me after I left, and they kept it up in subsequent podcasts. This is the kind of, so I remember the night that I was sitting up late at night reading through this, fucking furious for this guy.
It's
I mean,
pretty horrendous. Yeah.
If this is even like a third of what actually happened, or a third of this actually happened, it's still way too fucking much.
Right. Like it's one of those things that, like, excuse me. There is, like, obviously that podcast was out there somewhere, so like it would be weird to be like, oh, this guy just made it up, right? Like, there's enough there that you could put the pieces together, and I would say it is more plausible than not.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Ethan, these types of people, they want to fucking essentially gaslight you. I hate to use that phrase, but like when you've seen so many things play out so many times, and it's one thing if somebody makes claims about a person, and it's claims that have never been made about this person. There's never been anything like this about this person. I mean, yes, you should still look into that, but like it's reasonable to have like a bit of skepticism in your back pocket, right? Like to just not necessarily believe it whole cloth, but like definitely look into it. But the kinds of stuff he's describing here are literally what we can see happen still to varying degrees, and sometimes on larger scales. It's what like think about the posts of about Tess Fowler that we saw, where he's literally she's done these. Think about, let me pull that up. If you have anything you say, go ahead. I'm going to pull up a perfect example.
No, just trying to take it all in and just sort of like think through all the variables, right? Like,
yeah.
It definitely follows in the like footsteps of like the shit we've seen out of 4chan and then Gamergate and then all of the tentacles that grew up of that mess.
Well, so actually, if you follow me on Patreon, which you can do for free, you will have access to a video that you're going to be seeing these clips coming out. Hopefully, more and more. Actually, I'm going to ask you, audience, for help with this. I've made a little video.
Yay, audience participation.
Yeah, it's a compiled kind of like several videos in one, clips in one video, and the commonality of them is it's different grifters, as we call them around here, anti-fans, chuds, being exposed as such kind of thing. And what I feel is pretty obvious. You've definitely seen those clips around if you've been around enough.
Yeah, they're around.
But what we're trying to do with them is, like, we reacted to them, the initiative did the other day, and we're gonna send it out, and we're literally naming a whole bunch of creators saying, hey, react to this. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a challenge kind of thing. Like, if you think that this isn't a grift being exposed, can you explain why, kind of thing.
Right.
And hoping that so few people will take us up on that, but we're hoping as many people as possible will, because if nothing else, these clips need to be seen. And I'm uploading the video without us, really
Just
involved in it or anything.
The
Just
comments
because,
as they were.
yeah, because like I don't necessarily even want it to be like if somebody, like I challenge Vosh, fucking Xander Hall. If they end up wanting to do it and they don't even want to call out give us a shout out because they think it's clout sharking, that's fine. You don't have to. I'd rather just these clips get passed around and seen more. And so,
to answer Byron's question, like 4chan is like one of the dominoes in all of this. And I think like even early on in some of the stuff 4chan did wasn't bad necessarily. Wasn't legal for sure, but like they were involved in getting information about Scientology out and about some big tech scandals. And a lot of financial issues. So like, right, 4chan created Anonymous, and was involved in part in like Occupy Wall Street, even though that was kind of a disaster.
Didn't it all kind of start with Something Awful or the Something Awful blog?
That's like a parallel.
Okay.
They sort of exist in parallel, like Something Awful and 4chan, Encyclopedia Dramatica, all kind of are separate crisscrossy railroads that lead into disaster.
So organized chaos, underrated. I'll be honest, he's underrated. I know sometimes I've like not fully appreciated when we were doing these reacts the other day, because it was a private recording. We did it.
Yeah.
It was like, realized, holy shit, like 3 of these are strictly due to Bob creating, like the situation, like asking the right questions and stuff.
Right.
It's like, God damn, Bob, like, until you really stop and appreciate that. But this one in particular is pretty great.
He's got a talent for it.
I said, Marsha, I don't know why you're doing what you're doing, but out of Darwin's memory, I am not going to fight back. If you feel the need, because she blamed me for that, and she tried to call a harassment army, the likes of which I have not experienced before or since, against me, saying that I was claiming her husband, her deceased husband.
Get a harassment audience. I'm sorry.
Well, she's a widow, and that's the implication to his audience. I think that's like the unspoken thing. To you and I, it sounds absurd, but they're like, well, she's a woman and she's crying on the internet, so of course, that's my guess anyway. Yeah. So like, by the way, I also have to give myself and Sketchy Got Hands credit for this one. In fact,
because you guys are the guys in the chair.
We had a Mission Impossible moment going on right here. This is fucking...
Okay, I'll stop.
I haven't seen Reggie tonight, I don't think, but like, man, props again. Because when Bob didn't know this. Bob didn't know the details of all this stuff. But he knew certain things to bring up, but he didn't know that there was a tweet and stuff like that. So, and to be honest, I didn't have it either. Reggie's the one that messaged me and said, "Hey, here's this." And like, while Bob was still talking to him about it, I was like, "Holy shit." And I had to hope that Bob would check and see that. You see what he's looking down right now. He's seeing that he's got a notification.
He's getting the feed, right? The tactical data is coming in. Take a
he's
shot.
Like, somebody's sending me something. What's this about? Because I think I probably messaged him about 10 times in like 30 seconds.
Right, yeah, blow up that guy's phone with this one.
I was like, Bob, fucking look. And then yeah.
Darwin Cook was Comicsgate. That was a lie.
Well,
I didn't say that. Mark, understand, you people lie. I did not say that. Billy did.
So have you ever...
So he's talking about Billy Tucci, I believe. Okay. I don't know if you remember Shy. Was a character that was kind of like...
The name sounds familiar. I don't...
She was a sexy kind of like what you call it, the Japanese woman look, that she's got like the white face and red. I don't know. I don't remember how you describe it, but it was the 90s thing. And
okay.
Billy Tucci, 4th rate creator. Yeah, I never really saw much from him. Other than that.
Said that he's Comicsgate?
No.
So you've never
I'm not saying it now.
Comicsgate?
No.
All right, this is interesting.
I don't
Here's a
think
tweet
so.
from you. Have fun scraping work in a dead industry that if you suck enough corporate dick, you'll be able to earn in a lifetime.
Get ready for the
So
shitting grin.
yeah, and the shitting grin is what is just probably where we'll go ahead and end it, because it's just the perfect punctuation.
It really
to all-
is the cherry on the shit sundae.
And I do want to know, I don't know if I really fully appreciated before I was editing this the other day, but like when he hears him start to read this, you can hear him grunting, just like these fucking sounds of like displeasure or something that are happening. It's
A little bit of acid reflux or something.
Because look, so is he insecure, or does he have a giant ego? Some of you might wonder, right? Like, and that can be kind of confusing if you don't really if you haven't looked into what narcissistic personality disorder is. That the ego of someone like this is not an actual ego. Like, whereas like somebody who's got a big ego because they've done a bunch of cool shit and they've done all these amazing things or something. That's like actually might be a full ego that's built on something kind of thing. It might not be warranted, might be an asshole, but at least there's something that contributed to it. In someone like his case, it's a protective shell that is hollow on the inside, and if you fucking crack the outside of it, their fucking world will come apart, and inside their minds anyway, because they need to feel like at least that they're seen a certain way, that they're talked about a certain way. So that's what the narratives are about with like him, with like Eric. They will just say what most people can see as objectively untrue, because to them it's not really about as much trying to convince a bunch of people as it is maintaining their own fucking idea, their own kind of self-delusion. And right here is him realizing, I think, that oh fuck, like this, I did say that. Who knows if he remembered he did or not, but he might have believed this narrative he was saying.
I don't know, but he knows he got caught, right? Like he knows. Oh shit.
Right.
There's
He's like, what do I do? Because what's he gonna do? You just shut him down? Tell him, like, hang up on him? No, the only thing that he can do, and just goes to show what kind of people follow him, that they love it. They probably love that he fucking responded the way that he did. They don't care that he lies. That's why there's no fucking point in talking to this guy. There's no point in really listening to anything he says and getting his input on any events or anything like that, because it doesn't matter, because he does this
in a dead industry that if you suck enough corporate dick, you'll be able to earn in a lifetime what I earned drawing frogs independently. By the way, Darwin,
there's that shit-eating grin.
Literally turns into the fucking troll meme. Like, just
the living meme, ladies and gentlemen. The living meme.
That's it. That's Ethan Van Sciver. That's who he is now, I think, and that's who he probably, sadly, tragically, will always be.
It's the guy.
Maybe not, but maybe something.
After other people's kids.
Yeah, he's the guy that will just bring up Mark Brooks for no apparent reason. Yes, they had stuff in the past, sure, but Mark has criticized him. Even if you feel that was unfair, fine. It probably wasn't, but still, why bring him up? Why would you fucking think to bring him up? Not only him, but his fucking kids, dude. Like,
it's gross.
He's a broken guy. He's and in reality, he's still that fucking kid, essentially. That didn't really develop into a person. It's just everything about him is a reaction to protect that vulnerable, fucking sensitive child that it looks like he might have eaten a couple of. God damn it! I did it again. Fuck! I'm sorry. I fucking promised myself I wouldn't do it.
Dude, not cool. But he's a fucko. Like, I don't know what to say. He's shit.
As a
shit, now he is shit.
It's kind of like I guess a bookend.
I don't want pedophiles to target our children. I mean, I wouldn't mind if they target Mark Brooks's children.
That's him. That's him. And that also explains, like, think about the things that I've said here about him. Like, anytime he says or does anything, talk about the dyed beard. That's completely supported by what I've said here. Like, I can just imagine him being like, oh God, if I go on Tim Pool's podcast, I'm trying to get new people into me, right? In my content and to follow me and give me money. What if I look old and out of shape and out of touch or something? Oh God, and he fucking just like does this terrible dye job in a rush, in a panic, basically.
Go to a stylist.
Yeah.
They're sorcerers.
I mean, DJ gave him some free advice,
I remember that, yeah.
DJ's got some fucking top-notch beard color game.
His beard game is on fire.
Anyway, he's I don't think it's possible for him to grow anymore, to be honest.
I don't know.
His platform. Sorry, you don't think you think you might be able to grow more, or what?
I don't know. I would like to believe that anyone can grow at any time in their life.
Oh, no, I was talking about like his influence.
Oh, his influence. I think his influence is capped.
Yeah.
I think even if you're talking about like within right-wing fandom circles, right, and the kind of people he wants to associate with, I have to imagine a lot of them don't know who he is or care.
No.
You're talking about he's the legendary artist on probably the most famous Green Lantern run of all time. But like, who knows about that outside of comics fans? And even then, like, if you're just a Marvel guy or just an indie guy, you don't know who this guy is. I hate to be like that, but like,
well, I mean, and
sorry.
think about the average Tim Pool viewer.
I
right?
try not to.
But I mean, if you think about them, like, they're not people that care. They might have even seen him on there and been like, "Why the fuck is Tim talking to this fucking guy?"
Right.
Like, I imagine there was a substantial some of that with the size of Tim's audience. There was definitely some people thinking that, like,
Probably.
comic books. What are you, Tim Pool? These fucking comics are for fucking babies, kind of attitude.
Which is weird because doesn't Tim go have whole drawn out opinions about the MCU? Like, and I know that MCU isn't comics at this point. Like, it is its own behemoth.
He uses them to try to make really fucking lame points about politics and stuff now and then, but yeah.
And like Tim Pool seems like a big fucking nerd. He's got the katana in his background. Like, I have a katana because I'm a big fucking nerd. It's in a basement somewhere. I haven't seen it in like 6 years.
Yep.
But I have one because I'm a big fucking nerd.
I mean, cool. Katanas are cool. Like, I think objectively,
they're cool looking swords. Yeah, it was
swords are cool.
Swords are cool.
Like, but
reject modernity, embrace swords. Let's get rid of guns and go back to swords.
Indeed. Speaking of which, if you haven't read the new X-Force, the most recent one,
I have not. I need to get on that.
If you're a fan of Mikhail Rasputin,
wait,
I wouldn't expect to see him anytime soon.
I feel like that the way that story was going, his ticket was getting punched pretty soon here.
Yeah,
he's had it coming for a couple of years now.
I mean, dude, you made your brother kill his fucking girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
His wife, were they married?
I think they're just girlfriend. I think it was just his that's so yeah, I don't think they were married or anything. But like,
buried her in the garden that he was peacefully tending with her. Like, come on, what do you expect to happen?
And now, like, there's no Krakoa to, like, because he hid the body, right? And there's no X Factor. There's no one to find out where she went and no one to bring her back. At least until we get the 5 out of the white hot room.
So just to go ahead and put a big stamp on it. Ethan's no longer the muse of this podcast. He never really was.
That was a joke, and one made in what I now have come to believe in somewhat bad taste.
I mean, I made it. I ran with it. Like, I was already thinking about this as a topic for probably a year before I really even changed the name of the channel from Forced Adversity. I was thinking, I want to look into stuff that's like other examples that aren't just comics and shit. But I knew that if I started doing that my metrics, my analytics would just fucking nosedive on here.
Yeah.
Making it like, but like, I definitely had an interest to start looking into people being against shit that really there's no reason for it.
Right.
And then of course I've already was interested in politics and studying reactionary politics, and I'm interested in history, interested in learning about the comics code, as well as the Red Scare. All that stuff was already firmly planted in my mind, and I would have made my way there. And his having responded to them in tweets didn't really have much sway at all. But it was kind of just like a way to say, like, yeah, like, Ethan, I'm not even fucking covering you anymore, but I'm going to mention you now and then just so you remember that I'm out here, motherfucker.
Right.
And of course he did, because he mentioned me kind of obsessively with Bob.
Yeah, seems like it. Which, to be like, in Ethan's defense, like, you did set up, you and Sketchy set up Bob for the headshot there.
True.
So, like,
oh, there's a couple of other things I did want to show though. So have you heard about this Whisper Network?
Which one?
The SJW Whisper Network.
Which one?
Well, I mean, they're all connected. They're all connected, man. So this person, this terrible person, idiot person, is writing a book, apparently, an expose about the rise of the Whisper Network. A very strange new breed, strange women. Like, it will be available in 2025. It really is going to take you that long to write this piece of shit? Like, are you kidding me?
Oh my god. So, for those who don't know what a Whisper Network is, I will.
Yes, Furious TV. Yes, that's what he means. People. He means coworkers who are
just PM each other. Yeah,
the thought leaders in a specific field that there's not like a whole lot of people in, that they actually sometimes talk to each other and exchange information. Yeah, he means DMs. It's like, did you just learn about DMs? What the fuck?
He just learned about email, which is all the DM is, really, is an email.
Every accusation is a confession with these guys, and like they, of course, like we've literally seen it. Look.
And why that exists, and why
father, there's
like the thing that she's writing a book about. These motherfuckers literally do it, but actually with insidious motives. If these women, and there's probably men involved too, of course, but like if they are messaging anything about anybody like Ethan, it is for protection's sake, probably.
Right. So
like
here is how I think the manosphere, such as it is, gets this idea of like what a Whisper Network is. So what happens when you have a large, not even a large community per se, like there's been Whisper Networks around podcast hosts, for instance. There's a lawsuit over the ownership of a podcast in California going on right now, where one of the hosts was involved in some alleged sexually coercion, some sexual harassment and stuff. And now him and his former co-host are fighting over ownership of the show. But there was a Whisper Network around his alleged behavior, which is just that, like, people who know things, but like don't. When you're talking about like where you have a person who is in a heightened level of importance or authority, people are afraid to come forward, but like they have friends in that community that they will warn. But will also be like, hey, don't say anything. And it actually, like, in trying to protect their friends and protect their community, they kind of insulate the perpetrator sometimes, because like it's all behind closed doors, it's all in whispers. So like a personal example is that at an anime convention I went to over a decade ago, a friend of mine worked for the convention and told me, like, hey, I know some of you guys are like Full Metal Alchemist fans and want to go. We're talking about going to see Vic Mignogna. You don't want to be around him all that much. I can't say more, but like I would keep your distance. And there's a reason I don't say what convention it was or what year it was or what friend that was, is because some shit went on and it was very much like, you can't tell anyone I told you this. So like it's kind of sworn to secrecy, but also like keep our friends away from this guy because I know he's a creep, but I can't publicly say he's a creep.
Right.
That's what a whisper network is. And they're all part of this cycle of celebrity abuse, for whatever you want to define celebrity as. And so I see why these manosphere types kind of like to make a big deal about, oh, there's these whisper networks where they make up lies about guys.
They're afraid of accountability.
They're afraid of They're afraid of accountability, but also like the people who like whisper networks aren't created intentionally. They grow organically because as more people hear about it and as more events occur, like anecdotes start to pile up.
Well, so I don't know if this is maybe Pink Bunny, maybe you know more, but I mean you definitely know more about this stuff in general than I do, but so one of the things that you're saying that like these whisper networks do is and what they chuds like to present these whisper networks, quote unquote, as being is like they're going to come up with some false accusations about you. They're going to say right, which is kind of fucking interesting. If we go back to Alfie's blog here, so this is I guess someone his girlfriend maybe or someone his girlfriend's modeling page. This person showed up.
Oh my god.
And said this. I mean, obviously, you know, I don't think any sane person would see this and
That's
go, "Oh,
so
I'm taking
hyperbolic, right?" Like
super serious. But like, it just goes to show that they believe in nothing except what will benefit them to say or
every
do.
accusation is a confession.
Um,
Right? That's
Yeah,
they know
because
to
they
have.
know,
Yeah, that's what they do. Like
they know that they will do this type of thing. So if they will do it, then clearly the SJWs will do it.
I was on a completely unrelated but somewhat topical note. I was listening to a podcast. If anyone's heard of the Thinking Atheist podcast, it's a nice wholesome podcast actually. It's not like firebrand stuff, but someone was talking about like growing up in a religious family and how like they try to program you in a way, right? Like it's not like necessarily a malicious thing, but like the person who teaches you how to like look both ways when you cross the street also teaches you about religion, and so that person teaches you true things and you sort of take them for granted. And like that is what these, you know, because I know Ethan is a big, I believe he is, correct me if I'm wrong, actually, I could be misremembering, that he has pushed forward some like groomer narratives about LGBT people.
Oh no, absolutely, yeah. That's honestly, I don't know what he was talking about around that clip, but it was probably that. Like he
Okay.
probably wasn't actually talking about literal pedophiles. He's probably
Right. Talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
So, that sort of indoctrination behavior is exactly why they can, you know, when they say they believe that, you know, queer folks want to groom kids, I think they genuinely believe it because that's what they would do.
Well, that actually does bring up something that we do need to look at before we go, now that you mention it.
Sorry.
No, I mean it's fucking relevant.
Hate it when that happens.
That's okay. Well, first of all, this is very scary. Very scary stuff that's happening here. Wait, where's it at? God damn it. Apparently the SJWs have gotten a time travel device. And they have gone back in time and made a fucking woke version of the Phantom. Girl Phantom.
Approved by the Comics Code.
How like this is what happens. They just you give them too much power and they just go back in time and fucking change things.
Is that how we got Mary Marvel? Is that the SJWs went back in time to the fucking 30s?
Yeah.
She might have debuted in the 40s, but
John Stewart, Green Lantern. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of obvious, right?
That's clearly SJW.
He obviously didn't get that job on his own. No, I'm sorry, this is fucking stupid. So there's this I meant to show too. So this is the Moose Bauman thing. As Bunny says, he's the first victim of the big betrayal from EVS that now Eric July is experiencing. So when I walked away from coloring Cyberfrog, I was relentlessly hammered by Comicsgate for being a traitor and a Judas. EBS and his followers attacked me and my family, made fun of my wife's cancer diagnosis, threatened physical violence on me. So when shit like this comes down, just remember who the real victims are. It isn't Ethan Van Sciver. No, it's not.
Also, if you go after someone's wife who has a cancer diagnosis in any way, shape, or form, I would like you to choke on a pretzel. Like, I'm sorry, like you don't do that. That's not okay.
Holy shit! I didn't really look at this until now, but look at what he's actually saying in these posts. Yes, SJWs in comics apologize to Marsha Cook for cynically using her as a shield to attack Comicsgate for lying to her. It was Darwin's dear friend Billy who claimed him. That's we already know. I mean, it's not funny, but it is fucking funny that we just.
It's just a flat circle.
It is. I mean, when you lie so much, man, and it's just like you can't keep track of all this shit.
This is like the sort of person that if you're inside and they say good morning, you have to check your phone and look outside. Right? Like they tell you it's raining, you pop your head outside. Just like fucking hell, dude.
Okay, so let me find the actual thing I was looking for. Not too hard. It is notable because I made this graphic, this compiled image thing here. Well, yeah, maybe we'll come back to that, but
well, we're going to talk about bullying and cyber stalking and gatekeeping on Sunday too, so that will.
Example 1.
Ooh, example 1. Exhibit A.
Oh yeah, that's the way to say it, huh?
Sure.
Ethan seems to like really want to die on the hill of like sexualizing characters that are teenagers. Especially whenever even the person who did the drawing did actually, do some reflection, take input, and go, "Oh, I understand what I did wrong here. Let me redo it of my own volition." Just kind of.
Like if that character is supposed to be an adult, I think that's perfectly fine art, but that is not supposed to be an adult.
And honestly, I mean, I would say that this is not his best. That torso is way weird.
It's a little, it's a little odd, yeah.
Even if that was an adult woman, that's just like not his best.
No.
And then same thing, really. Cassie, 14 years old this time.
Yeah.
And I mean, realistically, if I'm being charitable, he's just reaching for shit that he can use that without thinking about the context around it.
2022, back in 2014. So you're just necro posting.
Oh, is she dead?
Well, no, that like a necro post is like you go back into the past and you like drag up some old shit.
Oh, I see. Okay, I thought she was like, "Whoa, Cassie's been dead in the comics for a while now."
I do not follow
me either.
Teen Titans at all.
I didn't know the character's name until I made this image.
Oh my god!
Like
I think I knew the name, but like, it's been a hot minute since I knew.
And for anybody wondering what's wrong with the image, it's that she's 14, and then these are not 14-year-old girl breasts. That's not a natural thing that should happen. It's just unnecessary sexualization.
Yeah, they draw everyone else like children, but then she's just like.
Well, and then this is not the same kind of thing, but I just love this. This was right after the Tim Pool appearance, and this is how hard he biffed getting new followers. Like he couldn't even be bothered to just, I don't know, come up with something more concrete than this, I guess. But lunatic feminists, aka #strange women. You're posting like a 50-year-old man at this point. Decided that She-Hulk was too lovely and feminine, and I suppose they wanted to see themselves represented more. I don't know, but this was what they did to She-Hulk. Hashtag confiscate. They
What
took
did
her
they
from
do?
this and made her into this. No, actually, what had happened was she was like this before for a while, and that was due to Jason Aaron and fucking I believe Ed McGuinness. Is that right?
Okay.
Had done that era of the Avengers comic,
Sure.
right?
And then they made her back into.
And then these strange women, Rainbow Rowell. I don't know if that maybe non-binary, but Jen Bartel, definitely a woman. Made her look like this. So it's like literally the opposite of what he fucking claimed.
Well, yeah, just he lives in the mirror world, right?
And but the sad thing is of course that the people he's gonna get the people that he wants. If anybody that latched onto this are people that just don't care enough or don't know how to look up anything to see if it's true. They just need to hear somebody say the thing that they want to hear, and there you go.
So I looked it up because I had not heard of her. She's a woman. She's a 50-year-old woman. She's done a lot of young adult stuff and a lot of comic stuff.
A lot of SJW stuff, huh?
She's written Runaways, She-Hulk. She had some indie stuff back in the 2014 era. Has a young adult series she's written. So, yeah.
I don't know why they wear these hats, but I mean, they're dead on. There's cool hats they got, I guess.
Damn. Rainbow is a very cool name. I appreciate cool names.
It's ironically ballsy, to like. I'm sorry, I'm kind of tired at this point, but
oh no, it's fair. Hey, I feel ya.
And then I guess that was make sure there wasn't anything else. Oh wait. This was the compiled image of what Ethan spent his the couple of weeks after his appearance doing, because the other thing that he did was doxed a former fan.
Oh, fun!
And his Cap's just really disappointed in him. Yeah, I made a video on that when he did that. When he literally just tells a guy's real name, and then the guy on stream with him says, "Do you normally dox your fans?" And he's like, "Well, when they're not, when they're not my customer anymore, yeah, I don't care."
There's that customer word. Also, like, hey, Ethan, bring it in, buddy pal, big fan. You're gonna go on Tim Pool. You know what you should do? Heart to heart. Put out your comic. Sell some comics.
Yeah. But so a couple of weeks ago was the 1-year anniversary of the last time that he gave an update on the way overdue Rainbow the Brute project. That's already been, people already paid for it. It's paid for.
Right, because it's all crowdfunded.
Somebody asked earlier, like, how does he maintain these people? Because and maybe this is something we'll have to look into in the future. I definitely plan to. Maybe it'll be this show or all shows. I don't know.
Because
the cult indoctrination of all this shit.
They're not fans of his comic work. They're fans of his shit posting.
Yep. It's not really about the comics. It never really was. In fact,
maybe at one point it was. Who knows? But it's not now. You can tell because it's not putting out comics.
I don't think it really was for him, to be honest. I think for maybe some of the fans, sure, but I mean, at the same time, like I know there's a lot of them that are, alienated, maybe mental health issues. Definitely, a lot of autistic people get trapped in this fucking web of bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find this one. Where was that image at? You know what I'm talking about? The one that we both saw, and we're like,
the one that was in the Discord earlier today.
Yeah. Wait, is it?
It should be right. Oh. It's underneath the Ghostbusters meme. I'll tag you in it.
No, I just was trying to find it in my my collection here, because I could have sworn I had it all in here, but maybe not.
All right, I'll tag you just in case.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like you got to have a writer. Or if you're a writer, you got to have an artist. Or if you're me, you have to have both because I can't write or draw. My drawing is mimetically terrible.
You know, one thing I want to look into someday, and this has been a point of fascination for me for a while, is people. There are people who seem to think that, like, if you're a big fan of the art of comics, some people don't really value the writer at all. And they kind of tend to think that the artist is the one driving this thing, and then the same is true for people that are more kind of story focused, character focused, is they kind of just like, oh, anybody could draw this and it'd be whatever. I've seen it, talked to people of both stripes before, and it's just kind of an interesting dynamic that I've seen.
I think the best comic runs have an artist and a writer who work well together.
I agree.
I think you need a writer who can bring life or bring context to the art, and you need an artist who can bring life to the story. Because the actual script of a comic book is really short. A lot of it is in the art, but like that art doesn't mean anything without the story. It's just pretty pictures.
Before we go, I do have something that I want to say that might be kind of mind blowing to everyone. And maybe we can. I mean, I'll probably have to get into it, but I haven't even talked to you about this, Morgan.
Oh, surprise!
I posted about it, but I don't know if anybody really saw it because my Twitter is not. I don't pay for it, so I don't get any engagement. It doesn't get shown to anyone.
Yeah, I don't. Nobody sees my Twitter.
So here we go. Now we're looking at it. This is from today. Like, we both saw it today. I think it might have been a day ago or something, within the last day. So Black Sage D, who's just kind of a fucking dipshit, Comicsgate adjacent kind of guy too. He said, if you're an actual comic book artist, then you should support other artists and businessmen instead of tearing them down. Well, I mean, yeah, except they don't do that when it comes to.
I mean, he should take his own advice.
Nonetheless, Eric July is trying to do the same thing you're doing by creating alternative outlet from the garbage to DC, Marvel, blah, blah. Ethan says, that's never been what any of us do, though. We tear down shit. It's what Comicsgate was built on. We weren't here to support low-effort ideological crap from anyone. We're here to point out that lowering the bar has helped to bury the comic business. I work to promote good stuff when I see it. Except, if you give me a moment, I actually just realized that I can... I'm sorry, this rabbit hole goes and goes. But like... I think I can find it fairly quickly, maybe. There was a post he did not very long ago that basically says the exact opposite, from what I recall. Like,
well, this is a recurring theme.
He was literally just like, this is, yeah, because it was an admission of like, I remember saying, see, I've been saying they denied it, that it's literally all about politics. He says that. I wish that I would have thought to have this already.
I don't know if Black Sage D. I mean, apparently he posted this, so he must be. But like, I don't see any of this shit anymore. Most of what I see on Twitter is from 40K stuff these days, which was good for a while, and now it is back to being a mess. It was fun while it lasted.
Right.
And that's why we're talking about gatekeepers on Sunday. Because whose gate is it anyways? That's the question I want to know.
That is, yeah, I'm very excited for that one. Partly because I don't have to do it.
That's
I
true.
can just-
You don't. It's nice.
I'll obviously be engaging, but like, in
I
general,
suspect you'll have some thoughts on gatekeepers. I have a feeling.
I might.
Oh, that's right. He did try and like, I remember that with G-Witch. Yeah, he was like trying to talk about how not political Gundam was, and if you know anything about Gundam, I have some bad news for you about its political content. Fucking very political. And also has had a huge queer shipping community going back to the fucking 80s. Because anime fans are weird. Again, I can say that I'm an anime fan. I'm weird. I'm a weird person. It's okay to be weird. It's baby Jesus' gate.
I think I fucking.
How does he keep it
floundered
with
on
those
this
small
one.
little hands?
I'm floundering on this because like Twitter, I mean Google image search is what I'm using, and it's just only bringing up like some of his most egregious, incidents and stuff. And maybe I'm too dumb to do a quick search and find what I'm looking for like that.
Well, and they've shitified Google searches the last month and a half.
It's
so
true. Maybe I could just look on Twitter. Let's see.
Well, now they're fighting, so that'll be good for someone, I imagine. Let them fight. Yeah, I don't have him muted. Just went away. The algorithm banished him to the shadow realm. Does he pay for Twitter? Maybe that's why he doesn't pay for Twitter. I love not paying for Twitter. Don't pay for free products.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another example, though, of like it's not political whenever it's convenient to not be political. It is political when it's convenient to be political.
Right.
It just doesn't fucking matter. Nothing matters with these people.
No. Well, they have a incoherent definition of what political is when it's only political when it violates their norms.
Right.
And if you put it in that framework, then that's why it seems like the definition is incoherent, because it's only political to them when they think it's against their norms. Then that's politics. Because they're just not.
I mean,
they don't like to share their toys.
I don't really have anything to. I mean, it's probably because I don't do anime stuff, but like, I only see his bad takes on Twitter just now and then. So like, I think he might be kind of just one of those guys that's like, yeah, he's still out there, he's still doing it, but it's not like he has any real effect on anything.
Yeah, like
that I can see.
I remember because Witch from Mercury came out last year, and it was a really good anime. Gundam Witch from Mercury, and because the central relationship are two young ladies who are romantically interested in each other. There were certain segments of the anti-queer anime contingent that were trying to rewrite some history when it came to Gundam, and a lot of longtime Gundam fans were like, "What are you talking about, you weirdo? You know nothing."
It's historical document.
That's the meme I haven't seen in a long time. A long time.
This was a snapshot from his debate with Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Talking like he's laying on his back with a mouthful of gravy. That's what Ethan sounds like. What Kanye SJW, the real victim excuses for late comics. Shut up, liar. Forced adversity. Chat, am I right?
I mean, yeah, I don't want to make fun of how the guy talks because I know I don't talk the greatest.
Look, it's actually kind of pretty unfair because, to be honest, whenever he debated that dude Taylor.
Oh yeah.
And I watched that. Like, I was kind of like surprised that if you just kind of let yourself not think about who he is for a moment, I can see how he's charming to people. I can see how he can endear himself to people. And
yeah, like if when he dials it down, like yeah.
which he does whenever he goes onto certain streams that he knows are not, necessarily super friendly to him.
Right.
All
But I
right.
think
Well,
when that button gets pressed, he blows the fuck up, and he doesn't really apologize for it. He doesn't care. Seems to be the pattern of behavior.
the last thing I suppose to look at is this thing I'm looking for. Oh, okay. So you asked about the grooming thing. Yes. Has he made any claims like that? Not only that, but Patreon actually took some action on his ass at one point. High octane grooming.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this goes exactly back to what I was saying. How the reason they see it as grooming is that that's what they do, and that's like they assume everyone else does that. And that's
Right. So many people got really, really triggered by whenever we initially put out our mission statement, and on my version, on the thumbnail, I had predators, big word predators over there. All these images of chuds.
Right.
And it's like, wow, you guys really seem to only think a predator can only be a certain thing. I explicitly state in the video that they're political predators, and I stand by that, and we put that out in all our content. We support it. But they just didn't. I don't know. They got really upset that we framed it that way. I framed it that way. It's kind of weird.
They're monetary predators. They're attention predators. There's, and I hope they're not hunting people for sport to eat them. That's predatory. They might be predatory lenders. I don't know. They could be loan sharks. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, it's one of those things that like everything goes back to this like sexualized worldview they have that like does not seem healthy.
Where the hell is that one? Oh, here we go. But I don't tend to think of Ethan that way. I don't tend to think of him as being someone who is literally gonna fucking hurt children. If I was the piece of shit that he thinks that all SJWs that hate him are, then I could just start making content saying I think Ethan's a pedo or whatever. Like, I don't think that.
I don't think that either.
But I mean, I really haven't heard like valid excuses for this shit.
What the fuck? What the fuck? I can't really read the top one because that's just my screen.
Okay, so
the top like
one
Twitter
says,
thread.
Yeah, it's someone calling him out for having Dave Sim at one point was going to work on Cyberfrog or something. Dave Sim, who's known to
Oh.
He had admitted even many times that he had there was a girl that he knew from when she was young, and then didn't apparently sleep with her till she was like 20, 21 or something, but still it's just kind of your classic grooming kind of thing. So this person says, you consistently glossing over a grown man saying he was sexually attracted to a child, but he didn't explicitly admit to sexual abuse, so he's a cool guy. How naive are you? And then this fucking piece of shit said he controlled himself and denied his urges. That's not abuse.
Did he though?
Regardless, I can't be sure that this is the whole story, or indeed that the image hasn't been tampered with. It feels more like you're working with an agenda here, and have been from the start. And Ethan's response is, by the way, that's exactly how Elvis met his wife Priscilla, which anybody that's not aware, I think Priscilla, how old was she whenever Elvis was like, what was he, 30s? Maybe 20s, late 30s? Late 20s?
She was significantly younger than him.
She was underage, for sure.
Right.
And then there's this comment that's just, I don't know. It says that. Yeah, you can read it.
Yeah, I don't want to read it anymore. I want to stop. Make it go away. Make it go away. Send it to the cornfield.
It's not this kind of thing that like a normal person says, I don't think. Just like even a healthy person that thinks about saying healthy things. But
yeah. Like, I feel like if you asked me to describe a child, I'd go, I don't know, it's a fucking kid. What do you want from me? Like, I don't know that I could conjure like and I'm not a comic writer or comic artist, so maybe that's just a failing on my creative ability, but I just don't pay attention to kids.
How long do you mean, like, do you think it's going to is it going to catch up with them and like have a consequence? I think it already is to a degree. I think that
yeah.
Oh God, Mark.
Oh my God. Noted child genital enthusiast Matt Walsh.
Yeah. So I think that a lot of the people that have abandoned Comicsgate that are no longer, and I've been directly responsible, very proud of the fact that I've been directly responsible of a handful of them that I know of, disconnecting from it, are people who were maybe at a certain point in their lives whenever they attached to it, or they were younger, and then like they did, what most people do and grew, and didn't make it their whole personality, their whole identity. And then they would eventually go, oh wait, this is really gross and cringe and shitty and like, oh God, you know what I mean? Like, and disconnected from it. And that's gonna happen to some percentage of them now and then. They'll flake off here and there.
Well, just
but,
like even if his crowdfunding stuff was continually successful, when you're talking about going from issue 1 to issue 2, if you're doing really well, if your book is super popular, you're going to lose about 50% of your readership between 1 and 2.
Happened to Eric July. Yeah.
And that's not like, you don't need a conspiracy theory for that. That's just how books work.
I said it over a year ago. I said once before number 1 of Isom came out, I said when number 2 comes out, you're going to see a significant drop off. And that wasn't just because it's going to suck. That's part of it.
That's just because that's how books work. That's not anything. And if, I believe Ethan knows that.
Yeah.
But like,
that's probably partly why he takes so long. There's probably a big part of him that's like, if I put another book out, that's closer to the end.
That's right. It's the J.R. Or the George R.R. Martin thing. Where like, why is that book taking a fucking decade and change? Who knows?
This is probably like second to actually working for DC. This is probably oddly the best time of Ethan's life. Like, he's enjoying himself in some weird fucked up way. And if he doesn't have anything to offer to the down the road for people, then what is he going to matter? He's not going to matter to people in his mind. But
right,
and he needs that. He needs to be idolized and worshipped. And
he tried to get a relaunch with Tim Pool that way, right? Like, Tim Pool's a popular guy, regardless of what I think about him. He's got a large audience, right? Like, you're trying to get that attention.
And this is exactly why he can't grow and reach anymore, because anybody that is remotely interested in comics at this point knows about Comicsgate to some degree and has an opinion on it. And either you are inclined to be, cool to that kind of content and that kind of person, that kind of shit, or you're not. And most people aren't, because most people work hard, or they don't even have a job, can't get a job or something, and they're scraping to make ends meet. And then they look over here at this guy that's like, pay me to say shit on stream, and also pay me for comics that don't come out.
Right.
And that nobody wants to fucking dive into that.
No.
That's why he has to go and pretend to be nicer on other streams outside of his normal bubble. And it's predatory, and he's probably definitely gaining some new people here and there, but it just can never, I don't believe it can ever happen again at the rate that, it was a few years ago.
It's diminishing returns, and it's chasing that high. I think if
I mean, he went on like Matt Jarbo's stream, for example, and he's very cordial for the most part when he's on there, and he plays down some of the fucking crazier shit, and it's like, because he knows that. Yeah. Anyway, I'm repeating myself now.
We're sort of in the circle. Yeah, we're sort of.
So it's time to end it. And I think a good way to end it before we. We've looked at the devil. We've gone down into the pits of hell, and we fucking wrestled with the devil. So we're of course going to have to praise the Lord here in a minute. But before that, I'd like to give some good news. People can grow. People can be better. Like, and it's never too late, to be honest. Like, even Ethan, it probably won't happen.
I 100% Ethan could turn it around and
not only that, not only do I think it's not probable, but possible for him.
Mhm.
But it's literally in his blood to do so. Because as I said, his dad, who was, and bipolar is not like a character default or anything, but he was not able to get his shit together at one point or
Right.
another.
It makes things harder.
But his dad now, at least as far as maybe this is a couple of years ago now, but this is a phone call that he had with his dad on stream while he was drawing. Just it's a quick thing, but you kind of learn a lot, and it kind of seems like maybe some of this might be like Ethan's behavior and shit could be kind of like a payback for his dad at his dad or something. I don't know, some kind of maybe weird psychological thing. I'm not a specialist, but there could be something there.
Right.
That's not the point. The point is that fucking kudos to Ethan's dad, because his dad is a literal social justice warrior now. Let's hear what he's got to say.
It's not like me to exaggerate.
Dad, they want to know what do you mean about being involved with the Native Americans? You want to tell them about your job?
Oh, yeah, sure. I work in North Dakota. I'm the representative for the USDA Rural Development for all of the tribes in North Dakota, including Standing Rock on both sides of the border, that is stretching down into South Dakota. So I work promoting economic and community development on all the reservations in North Dakota and Standing Rock. Just trying to do different projects, housing projects, agriculture, utilities, water, wastewater, telemedicine, housing, did I say housing? Community facilities, and all sorts of things. Just trying to lift the Native Americans up, try to reduce the poverty, try to give some hope, and we're doing pretty good. But it's slow going, actually. I wish we could do things a little more quickly, but there's still some latent bigotry, I guess, toward the Native Americans in this country.
Catch all that? It's kind of quiet, I know, but
yeah, but like I think that's doing work to improve the conditions of Native Americans is a big fucking deal.
Right. I mean, I say it's literal social justice warrior work, but that is in no way, shape, or form meant to disparage it. It's like it's fucking based and cool. Yeah, I know. So and then Noah seems like he's a good dude, and I'm sure that for the most part, everybody in his family's decent people and stuff, and not. I don't know. I wonder how they feel about him. That'd be interesting to find out. What all the siblings and stuff think, but nonetheless. It sucks, Ethan kind of just sucks. And then, in fact, if we want to finish this clip off, it's only a little bit longer, but he sucks in this too, because he tries to downplay bigotry despite having no idea about what his dad's talking. Like, he doesn't know the details of this situation. He's not there, and yet still, because he is just so part of being a bigot is like a big part of being a bigot is, saying that bigotry doesn't exist.
Right.
That's like this almost the primary job function of bigotry. And so, of course, Ethan has to do that here.
Early up there, and
there's bigotry towards the Native Americans. Oh, I guess where they are, there's going to be, and not so much anywhere else, but I guess where there are a lot of Native Americans.
Not so much anywhere else. Why would you say that? You know what I mean? Like,
no.
I mean, it's a bigotry that's not like necessarily hateful, though that definitely probably exists in some form. But it's more of just an apathetic bigotry, I think, which is still fucking very harmful to the people that we stole fucking land from.
Oh, a whole lot of it. And you look at the areas where they put reses, and very often it's not good land for anything.
Now, if you want a good example that's actually an entertaining show but actually accurate, is Reservation Dogs on FX.
I've heard that's pretty good.
I mean, it's Taika Waititi produced and stuff, and it's like a very fucking good show with like legit, indigenous native actors in this legit settings and stuff, and it's like you get a vibe that's like, man, these are places that have had no upward mobility maybe ever. Like. And
literally ever. Speaking of Taika Waititi, he had some controversy this week because I guess he did an interview where he said he did the two Thor movies for the money, and it's just like, correct. I'm just
Well,
like,
he
why
said
is the hot take?
He just said the first one. I don't think he needed the
Okay.
money after, but like, yeah, Ragnarok, he did say he did for the money. And
Correct.
so
Like, yeah. So that's my reaction. Just like, what? What's the problem
it's this
there?
fucking crazy idea that non-creatives have, that the only reason to create is creating, in a way. You know what I mean? Like, only a non-creative, I think, could think that. Someone who, because
Like,
creatives
yeah.
understand that we all have to fucking work for a living. Like, we have to
Right.
make money to survive in capitalism. And like, you know, yes, you would, a creative who puts a lot of hard work into it, whatever their craft is or whatever, wants to be paid for the thing that they love to do.
There's a reason that my day job and my hobbies are not the same thing, because one of them pays the bills and the other is my hobby. Yeah, you sometimes you have to eat, and doing an
Occasionally.
MCU movie means you're going to eat well for a while.
For anybody that's not aware, if you're not a creative person, creatives don't like go into some type of mode where their bodies no longer need to intake nourishment
Right, you still need
while they
food,
produce this
shelter.
creative thing. Like, they still have to eat. It's
And in fact, it's easier to be creative when you have a consistent diet.
yeah, when you're not like starving to death. Yeah.
Yeah, it really helps. It's a big
And you have
boost.
like you got a place to live, you got a roof over your head, so it's all very good for creative, environments. Anyway,
Yeah.
thank
Alright,
you
I
guys
think-
for sitting through all this. I kind of felt like it was going to be a long one. Thank you, Morgan. I'm glad that you were able
Sure,
to be
happy to
here.
stop by on a Friday.
Yeah, Sunday should be pretty fun.
It should be, yeah. We're gonna talk about gatekeeping. Whose gate is it anyways, and who gatekeeps
the gatekeepers?
Who gatekeeps the gatekeepers? Along with like what being a gatekeeper does to your brain and like the sort of person that it makes you.
Ooh, that's fucking interesting, man.
And that like it's spoiler, it's not it seems to generate some like healthy real life or unhealthy real life consequences.
Yikes.
So we'll get into that on Sunday.
Well, I'll tell you how excited I am for that. I'm pretty excited for it.
No.
God damn it. I get No Nut November is over, but like it has barely been a day and you are nutting all over the Fabcast. We here at the Fabcast, I can't even. I surrender.
Thank you,
Please
Byron.
kill everybody.
Thank you for keeping us on track there. Thank you, guys. Hit the like and sub if you haven't already, please. And have a lovely weekend. Take care of
Pick up the
yourself.
Patreon. Take care of yourself. See you Sunday. Come out on Sunday. We'll be here. I don't know, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
And look, we had a lot of dark energy for the last few hours here. Let's bring in the light.
May Bill Gaines shine his heavenly light upon you and impregnate you with many happy days and joy fetuses. May your anuses be cleansed by the purifying light that exudes from Bill Gaines' eternal dragon phallus. Should you meet your mortal demise this day, go with comfort that you have satisfied the commands of the one true Bill, those being this: read comic books. Fuck the dumb shit. Be yourself. Love each other. Also, read more comics and grow your hair out all goddamn while. Amen.